Chapter 57-54. Long Guiyue looked at Lin Feng and said, "This matter is of great importance, and I can't make the decision alone. After all, although I'm the patriarch of the sacred dragon tribe, there are still a few sage realm experts in the tribe, and one of them is a quasi-transcendence expert. I need to communicate with them about this matter." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Of course, that's not a problem." "Where are those experts?" Long Guiyue said, "They are currently in the ancestral land of the sacred dragon tribe. I'll send someone to invite them over, but the ancestral land of the sacred dragon tribe is quite a distance from here. It will take some time for them to arrive." "No problem." Lin Feng nodded. "Lin Gongzi, wait for my news," Long Guiyue said. Lin Feng nodded. Long Guiyue's attitude pleased him. From the looks of it, Long Guiyue had already made up his mind to cooperate with him. Long Guiyue was not only a sage realm expert, but also the patriarch of the sacred dragon tribe. His status in the sacred dragon tribe was even higher than those sage realm experts. In the sacred dragon tribe, perhaps only an expert who had transcended cultivation level could suppress him. The remaining people's status could not surpass his. It was because of this. He could decide many things. As long as he wanted to facilitate the cooperation between the two sides, there was a high chance of success. Both sides chatted for a while. Lin Feng and the others left. After Lin Feng and the others left, Long Guiyue found his trusted aides and asked them to gather some information about the undying world. After all, he could not completely trust Lin Feng's words. However, deep in his heart, he believed 90% of Lin Feng's words. After his trusted aides confirmed what Lin Feng said, he believed that he could persuade the quasi-transcendence expert and the other sage realm experts to agree to this cooperation. At this time, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the evil sovereign saint followed Long Shiyu to his residence. The sacred dragon tribe naturally had many courtyards for guests to stay in. However, Long Shiyu didn't arrange for Lin Feng and the others to stay in the guests' quarters. Instead, he brought Lin Feng and the others to his own courtyard. This was exactly what Lin Feng wanted. Meanwhile, Long Shiyang was discussing the day's events with his mother. Long Xian's mother's background was not ordinary. His mother came from the demonic dragon clan. The monster dragon clan was an extremely powerful clan of the dragon clan. It was also one of the top races of the dragon clan. This clan. He had always been mysterious. He rarely paid attention to the matters of the outside world. However, everyone knew how powerful this race was. The monstrous dragon race had an important position in the dragon race, mainly because the monstrous dragon race had a strong foundation. It was said that there were 7 or 8 saint realm experts. And there were 2 transcendental realm experts. This was too frightening. Long Xian's mother was the descendant of a transcendental realm expert of the monstrous dragon clan. Therefore, Long Xian's mother's status in the monstrous dragon clan was very high. Long Xiang said in a deep voice, "Mother, although I don't know who that young human cultivator is or where he came from, he's obviously not simple. He's very strong. His arrival seems to have boosted Long Shiyu's confidence. It's very likely that he's supporting Long Shiyu from behind. That's why Long Shiyu is so confident that he even wants to arm wrestle with me." Long Xian's mother sneered and said, "He's just a concubine's son. He doesn't have any power. What qualifications does he have to arm wrestle with you? And so what if that brat is supporting Long Shiyu? After all, he's an outsider. You don't have to worry about that." Long Xiang said, "Mother, there's one thing you shouldn't forget. Father has always been biased towards Long Shiyu." Long Xian's mother naturally knew that. In fact, she was extremely angry because Long Xiang was the legitimate son, and Long Shiyu was just a concubine's son. Why was he biased towards Long Shiyu? Was it because Long Shiyu's mother had died a tragic death that year? Was that why he was biased towards Long Shiyu? In fact, they also knew that there was another important reason: Long Shiyu was too outstanding. Whether it was talent, character, or the way he handled things, he was too outstanding. He surpassed Long Xiang by too much. Long Xiang, on the other hand, was more of a hedonistic son. However, neither Long Xiang nor his mother would admit to this. No one would admit that they were incapable. No parent would admit that their child was incapable. Long Shiyang was jealous of Long Shiyu. He would never admit that he was inferior to Long Shiyu. Long Xian's mother would never admit that her son was inferior to Long Shiyu. It's not that easy for Long Shiyu to jump around like that. However, he has your father's protection. It's not easy to touch him. Then let's touch the people around him. Think of a way to kill that human cultivator. This can also be considered as a warning to Long Shiyu not to jump around like that. Long Xian's mother sneered. She was not a simple woman. She had a lot of tricks up her sleeves. And she was ruthless. We need at least a Saint Realm expert to kill that brat. Long Xiang said. His eyes were full of killing intent. When he thought of how Lin Feng had kicked him and made him spit out blood, Long Xiang felt like gnashing his teeth. He wished he could cut Lin Feng into 10,000 pieces. Then I'll write a letter and invite a saint from my family to kill him, said Lin Feng. Long Xian's mother said. In fact, she wanted to deal with Lin Feng not only to warn Long Shiyu. There was another very important reason. A cultivator as young as Lin Feng. His cultivation was actually so powerful. Lin Feng might have many unimaginable secrets on him. If they killed Lin Feng, they would be able to obtain these secrets. Sometimes, killing a top-notch Heaven's Chosen One was equivalent to obtaining several great opportunities. Therefore, in the world of cultivators, there was no lack of top experts who liked to hunt down the top geniuses. This was because the benefits of killing those top geniuses were too great. That's great. Long Xiang immediately revealed a happy expression. When he thought of the scene where Lin Feng was about to be killed, he immediately trembled with excitement. Long Xian's mother said, during this period of time, you should be more obedient. Also, don't provoke Long Shiyu. Also, don't have any conflicts with that human brat. Long Xiang nodded and said, no problem. After that human brat dies, I want to see how that little bastard Long Shiyu can still jump around. Chapter 57-55. Lin Feng was naturally unaware of Long Xiang and his mother's sinister plan. After arriving at his residence, he chatted with Long Shiyu for a while before returning to rest. Next, Lin Feng planned to head to the ruins mentioned by Long Shiyu. He wanted to see if he could find any clues about the tomb of the 8th True Dragon Emperor. After all, it would take some time for the experts of the Sacred Dragon Tribe to arrive. Lin Feng could make use of this time. The next day, Lin Feng told Long Shiyu about this matter. Long Shiyu happened to have nothing to do, so he led Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the evil Dominator Saint to the ruins. The True Dragon Ridge was very large, spanning hundreds of kilometers. There were many resources in this place. There were even people who had mined divine stones here. About 3 years ago, it was said that someone had dug out a special divine stone here. Sealed within the God's Stone was a broken ancient weapon. This matter caused a huge uproar. In recent years, more and more cultivators had entered the True Dragon Ridge to search for divine stones. Not to mention the ancient weapon obtained from the divine stone. But if they could mine something else, they might be able to make a fortune. There were too many people with this idea. However, this place was also dangerous. Some places had powerful restrictions. If one was not careful, they might die under the attacks of the restrictions. Some places had powerful fierce beasts. So sometimes, one had to be on guard against all kinds of dangers. Otherwise, it was very likely that one would die here. Lin Feng and the others also arrived at the first ruin. There was no ancient tomb here. Lin Feng did not find any special clues here. Then, he followed Long Shiyu to a few other places. Some of the other places had ancient tombs, but they had all been mined. The places where the ancient tombs were found might really be related to the True Dragon Tribe. This was because there were many True Dragon Tribe characters in those ancient tombs. This piqued Lin Feng's interest. After looking at all the places, Long Shiyu looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Do you have any clues?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Burial grounds are often more particular, especially some large tombs. Not only do they have a main chamber, but they also have some side chambers. The tombs in front of us all have the characters of the Dragon Clan. There are so many characters of the Dragon Clan in these places, which means that these tombs are probably related to the dragon clan. This place is rumored to be the burial place of the 8th true dragon emperor, so it's easy to imagine. Of course, ordinary people might not know much about tombs, so they would not be able to discover these special places. But Lin Feng was different. Lin Feng and Daoist Wu Liang had known each other for such a long time. Lin Feng heard a lot about the burial grounds from Daoist Wu Liang. Therefore, Lin Feng had some understanding of the layout of some burial grounds. It was just as Lin Feng had said. Lin Feng had the impression that those tombs were actually some of the smaller chambers of the tombs. Since he could find a side chamber, then the burial place of the 8th true dragon emperor was very likely nearby. But how to find it? Where exactly was it buried? That was not clear. This was because the burial ground might not be buried underground. It might be in a certain space. It was not difficult to build a small space and turn it into a burial ground. And this space might be hidden in a small amount of sand. And if the burial ground was inside, it would be very difficult to find. This was also one of the reasons why it was so difficult to find the burial ground of the 8th true dragon emperor. Of course, it was also possible that the burial ground was buried underground. However, because the 8th true dragon emperor was too powerful, his burial ground might have formed a relatively strong magnetic field. When such a strong magnetic field was formed, it would change the surrounding laws of heaven and earth. And the magnetic field had a great effect on cultivators. Even if some cultivators could reach the outside of the burial ground, they would be disturbed by the magnetic field. It was very likely that they would form some illusions. When this illusion was formed, even if the burial ground was right in front of their eyes, it was also possible that they could not see the burial ground. Lin Feng continued to investigate the burial ground of the 8th true dragon emperor, but he was unable to find any clues. Thus, Lin Feng stopped to think. He felt that perhaps he still needed to find some clues from these side chambers. Thus, Lin Feng once again went to a few side chambers. So far, he had discovered a total of 4 side chambers. Lin Feng searched carefully for a long time. He had indeed found some shocking clues from the 4 side chambers. He found the 5 elemental spirit stones in the 4 side chambers. For example, part of the rocks used to build the burial ground were made of 5 elements spirit stones. These side chambers actually followed the rules of the 5 elements cycle. The 5 elements cycle was the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Lin Feng discovered. Right now, the 4 side chambers belonged to the 4 elements of metal, wood, water, and fire. The only missing chamber was the earth element side chamber. If he could find the 5th tomb chamber, he would be able to find it. Then, perhaps he could use these 5 side chambers as clues and deduce the location of the 8th true dragon emperor's burial ground. Thus, Lin Feng began to search for the 5th side chamber. While he was searching for this side chamber, in fact, many people were also searching for the true dragon emperor's burial ground. Although all these years, no one had been able to find the burial ground of the 8th true dragon emperor. But these people had not given up. About 3 days later, Lin Feng heard a piece of news that someone had found an ancient burial ground. Some people suspected that the burial ground was the true dragon emperor's burial ground. After hearing this news, Lin Feng and the others quickly rushed to that place. When they arrived at this place, a large number of cultivators had already gathered here. That place was in a huge mountain range. Lin Feng felt that the earth element aura here was extremely tyrannical. Lin Feng's face immediately revealed a shocked expression. Such a powerful earth element aura. This meant that this place should be the 5th side chamber. If they could open this side chamber, they would be able to form the 5 element cycle. But now, the burial ground had not been opened yet. Because this place contained an extremely powerful formation restriction. Previously, someone had tried to attack the formation restriction here, but suffered heavy losses. Thus, everyone withdrew and did not dare to continue attacking the formation restriction here. Instead, they waited for the formation restriction here to dissipate. Then they entered the burial ground. End of this chapter. Chapter 57-56. While everyone was waiting, a cultivator quickly flew over from afar. The cultivator was wearing a loose black robe and a bamboo hat on his head, so no one could see what he looked like. He was also a Dragon Clan cultivator, but Mo Wuji didn't know which Dragon Clan he belonged to. After the cultivator arrived here, he quickly flew over. They quickly flew towards the area covered by the formation. After seeing this scene, many people sneered. Previously, everyone had attacked the formation here and suffered heavy losses. They knew how powerful the restrictive formation here was. Therefore, when they saw that the cultivator seemed to want to break through the formation here, they were all shocked. Everyone naturally thought that he was indulging in fantasy. But when he came to the side of the formation, something shocking happened. Those powerful formations and restrictions were actually unable to cause any harm to him. Everyone was shocked at this point. He quickly rushed into the array formation. Then, he disappeared without a trace. This caused many people in the surroundings to be extremely anxious. Because this cultivator had rushed into the formation, wouldn't he be able to take away all the opportunities? Many people were waiting here to get the opportunities inside. Now that they saw that the opportunities inside were about to be taken away by someone else, they were naturally very anxious. Lin Feng, on the other hand, looked calm. This was because Lin Feng didn't want the opportunities here from the beginning. He was only looking for the burial place of the 8th True Dragon Emperor. Then, he would pay respects to the 8th True Dragon Emperor on behalf of the 9 True Dragon Sons. Other than that, Lin Feng didn't have any other thoughts. Of course, it would be better if he could get some opportunities. If he couldn't, Lin Feng also didn't care. However, the others couldn't do the same. They were all filled with killing intent. The world was bustling, and everyone was here for benefits. Of course, they wouldn't easily let go of the cultivator who had obtained the opportunities. However, they couldn't enter now, so they could only wait outside. After about a day, the cultivator finally flew out. As soon as he flew out, he was surrounded by many people. "What did you get in there? Hurry up and hand over what you got, or you'll die," someone said coldly. The cultivator didn't hand over what he got. He glanced coldly at the surrounding cultivators, then began to break out of the encirclement. "Since he wants to die, we'll fulfill his wish," a cultivator said coldly. Then, a large group of cultivators surrounded the cultivator and began to attack him. The group of people used all kinds of attacks. For example, some people used divine ability attacks, while others took out powerful magic treasures. All sorts of attacks were launched at the cultivator. However, at this moment, the cultivator took out a powerful treasure. The treasure he took out was a metal ball-like treasure. The metal ball-like treasure was engraved with many dragon patterns. The dragon patterns were vivid and lifelike, just like real dragons. When the treasure was activated, it immediately let out a series of dragon roars. Then, the treasure manifested one true dragon after another. A total of 9 true dragons appeared. 9 true dragons bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Then, they pounced on the surrounding cultivators. After seeing this scene, many people's faces suddenly changed. What kind of magic treasure is this? It's actually so powerful. They wanted to dodge, but they had already dodged. The 9 true dragons killed many of the cultivators. Then, the mysterious cultivator took the opportunity to break out of the encirclement. He quickly disappeared into the forest. Chase! Many cultivators roared in exasperation. They quickly chased after the escaping cultivator. Most of them chased after the escaping cultivator. There were still some people who didn't leave. Those who didn't leave felt that there was something else in the burial ground. They wanted to stay and wait for the formation to completely disperse before entering the burial ground. It was unknown whether or not it was because the cultivator had entered the tomb, but the restrictive arrays around the tomb quickly dissipated. It only took a little more than an hour. Then, the array formation here completely dissipated. After the restrictions on the array formation dissipated, the cultivators waiting outside quickly rushed into the depths of the tomb. Lin Feng, Long Sheyu, Du Zhu, and the heretical sovereign saint also quickly rushed into the burial ground. The entrance to the burial ground was a huge cave. After everyone entered the cave, they went straight into the depths. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a huge mountain belly. The mountain belly should be the burial ground. Lin Feng found that this place was indeed an earth attribute burial ground. In this way, they had found the 5 main burial chambers of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. After finding the 5 main burial chambers of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, Lin Feng's face revealed a trace of a smile. He carefully studied this earth-attributed side tomb, and then the locations of the other 4 side tombs appeared in his mind. He deduced. Lin Feng felt that the place where the 5 chambers met should be where the main burial chamber was. After thinking up to this point, Lin Feng, Long Shiyu, Du Zhu, and the heretical sovereign saint hurriedly left the burial chamber. After coming out, Long Shiyu looked at Lin Feng and asked curiously, "Did you find anything special?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Perhaps I've found the burial ground of the 8th true Dragon Emperor." After hearing Lin Feng's words, Long Shiyu's face revealed an extremely shocked expression. So many people had searched for so many years without finding anything. In such a short time, Lin Feng had very likely found the burial ground of the 8th true Dragon Emperor. It was truly a shocking thing. Lin Feng floated in the air and looked in the direction of the 5 side burial chambers. Then, an image appeared in his mind. In Lin Feng's mind, 5 side burial chambers appeared. These 5 side burial chambers were located in 5 different directions. Each of the 5 side burial chambers emitted a beam of light that gathered in one place. Lin Feng opened his eyes. He roughly determined the location, then quickly flew in that direction. Long Shiyu, Du Zhu, and the heretical sovereign saint followed Lin Feng and quickly flew in that direction. Chapter 57:57. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the place Lin Feng had predicted. It was actually a gigantic lake. From afar, the lake was filled with draconic qi. It exuded a terrifying aura of coercion. After carefully observing the lake for a moment, Chen Feng saw that there were also some cultivators looking at the lake. After seeing the lake, Long Shiyu's face suddenly showed a surprised expression. "Lin Feng, is the burial ground of the 8th true Dragon Great Emperor here?" Lin Feng nodded. "Is there a problem?" Long Shiyu said, "This lake is called the Cloud Dragon Lake. It's said that it's a cursed lake. Once a cultivator enters it, it's very likely that they'll be cursed. If they're cursed, it'll be very terrifying. In the past, there were still people who went in to explore, but they didn't find anything. Not only did they not find anything, but they also encountered calamities. The dangers of Cloud Dragon Lake gradually became known, and now very few people enter it." After hearing Long Shiyu's words, Lin Feng realized that the lake was not simple. Such a dangerous lake naturally had to be treated with caution. Lin Feng said, "How about this? You guys wait for me outside. I'll go in and take a look myself." Long Shiyu said, "How can that be? Let's go in together. If we encounter any danger, we can take care of each other." "That's right. Let's go in together." Du Zhu, the evil dominator saint, and the evil dominator saint all agreed. Seeing that they were insistent, Lin Feng said, "All right, let's go in together and take a look." Following that, they flew towards Cloud Dragon Lake. This place was indeed a little strange, and Lin Feng felt that Cloud Dragon Lake was too quiet. Such a huge lake would usually have huge waves. However, there were no waves in this place. There were no fish either. It was so quiet that it was hard to believe. This was very difficult to understand. Why would something like this happen? However, this was the real situation in front of their eyes. It was precisely because it was so strange that they had to be even more cautious. There could be some terrifying unknown situations here. He had to be extremely alert. Lin Feng had been trying to locate the burial ground of the 8th true Dragon Supreme Emperor. However, it would not be easy to quickly find the burial ground of the 8th true Dragon Emperor in such a large lake. This was not something that could be rushed. Fortunately, Lin Feng's methods were extraordinary. After searching for a few hours in the lake, Lin Feng found some suspicious places. They entered the bottom of the lake and saw a huge abyss at the bottom of the lake. It was an abyss at the bottom of the lake. Around the abyss, there were many terrifying ultimate killing formations. This place also exuded a chilling and terrifying aura. After feeling this chilling aura, Lin Feng couldn't help but slightly frown. There seemed to be something hidden in this place. If I'm not wrong, the 8th true Dragon Emperor's tomb might be at the bottom of this abyss. Lin Feng said. Long Shiyu said excitedly, I wonder if we'll be able to find some opportunities here. It would be great if we could find some. He was from the dragon race, so he naturally cared about the opportunities in the true Dragon Supreme Emperor's tomb. Lin Feng said, let's hope we can find some opportunities. Then, Lin Feng led Long Shiyu forward. Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and the others walked inside. Although the formations and restrictions here were terrifying, they were not difficult for Lin Feng. Lin Feng led everyone through the layers of restrictions. They arrived at the entrance of the abyss. Originally, Lin Feng thought that they might encounter some danger. After all, he felt that there might be some terrifying existences hibernating in this place. However, Lin Feng did not expect that they would reach this place so smoothly. This made him extremely surprised. We can't stay here for long. Let's go down quickly. The sooner we finish, the sooner we can leave. Lin Feng said. The other three nodded, and then everyone quickly flew towards the bottom of the abyss. They quickly traversed through the abyss. When they were about halfway through the abyss, Du Zhu's body suddenly exploded. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's expression changed greatly. Long Shiyu and the evil sovereign saint's expressions also changed. This was something that no one expected. However, although Du Zhu's body exploded, he did not die. This was because Du Zhu's body was condensed from 10,000 poisons. Therefore, even if his body exploded, as long as there was a trace of poison gas that was not eliminated, then Du Zhu would be an immortal existence. Just now, clearly, some unknown existence had launched an attack on Du Zhu. Now, Du Zhu's cultivation was enough to compete with some Saint Realm experts. Even with such a powerful cultivation, he did not notice anything. This was the most worrisome part. Lin Feng and the others did not know what was hiding in the dark. Lin Feng did not dare to hesitate and released his powerful magic power. It wrapped around Long Shiyu, the evil sovereign saint, and a part of Du Zhu's body. Then, they quickly flew down. Du Zhu reformed his body, but it looked a little illusory. He cursed angrily, what the hell is this? How dare he destroy my body? Fuck him. Yi Zichen shouted. Du Zhu was very angry now, mainly because Du Zhu's body was destroyed. He did not even know what kind of existence the other party was. It was too sullen. Lin Feng did not say anything, because he felt that the unknown existence was quickly chasing after them. Lin Feng's energy was all focused on getting rid of that terrifying existence. He increased his speed and finally rushed to the bottom of the abyss. He quickly flew towards the depths of the abyss. However, Lin Feng kept feeling that there was a shadow shrouding his body. This feeling was too terrible. Lin Feng's expression became more and more gloomy. Right now, there was no way to get rid of the existence in the dark. Lin Feng could only continue to fly deeper. Not long after, he saw an incomparably huge ancient tomb. After seeing the ancient tomb, Lin Feng knew that ancient tomb should be the tomb of the 8th generation true Dragon Supreme Emperor. He had finally found this ancient tomb. However, right now, Lin Feng did not feel the slightest bit excited. This was because they had been targeted by an extremely terrifying and unknown existence. The current situation was extremely unfavorable for them. End of chapter. Chapter 57-58. Lin Feng and the others weren't able to get rid of this terrifying existence. In fact, Lin Feng also knew that it would be very difficult to get rid of this existence. Lin Feng didn't think that he would be able to do so before. His main goal was to put some distance between him and this terrifying existence. Then, he would be able to attack. But now, they had already put some distance between them. Lin Feng then used the Great Art of Destiny. Great Tao of Destiny, please descend with the power of destiny and let this unknown existence appear. When Lin Feng's voice fell, the Great Art of Destiny immediately formed a powerful power of destiny. This was because the Great Art of Destiny itself was a divine ability that could change the fate of all living things. Originally, this unknown existence was in a state of concealment. But now, it was changed by the great art of destiny, so it was now visible. It was a faint shadow, and it was impossible to see what kind of existence it was. However, its aura was extremely terrifying. This terrifying existence let out a burst of sinister laughter. Its laughter sounded like the laughter of a malicious spirit, and it made people's hair stand on end. This existence was simply too powerful. However, Lin Feng and the others' methods were also extremely extraordinary. Facing this terrifying existence, it wasn't that they didn't have the strength to fight. This terrifying existence directly rushed towards Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng summoned his 5 ancient weapons and said in a deep voice, "Activate the 5 ancient weapons with me." Long Shiyu, Du Zhu, and the evil sovereign saint didn't dare to hesitate. Their magic power poured into the 5 ancient weapons, helping Lin Feng activate the 5 ancient weapons. At the same time, with their help, Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapons became even more powerful. The 5 ancient weapons released energies which could destroy the earth and sky. Every time the void shook, it made people's hearts tremble. The power unleashed by the 5 ancient weapons was absolutely shocking. Under Lin Feng's control, the 5 ancient weapons quickly flew towards this terrifying existence. It looked like they were about to explode on this terrifying existence's body. However, at this moment, a very strange energy surged out of this terrifying existence's body. It was unknown what kind of energy it was. However, it contained an extremely powerful attack power. That energy fiercely collided with Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapons. Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapons were actually sent flying. What a powerful cultivation! Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. This existence was definitely a quasi-surpassing realm existence. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such a powerful cultivation. In fact, Lin Feng now had a certain understanding of quasi-surpassing realm experts. Because it was extremely difficult to break through to surpassing realm, many people, they would break through to the quasi-surpassing realm, then, to consolidate their cultivation. Because there were many cultivators who broke through to the quasi-transcendence realm and had been consolidating their cultivation for a long time, the gap in strength between quasi-transcendence realm cultivators was huge. The strength of a quasi-transcendent realm was divided into 7 levels. These 7 levels were called the 7-level immortal foundation. Every T2. Moreover, every time one ascended to the next level, their strength would greatly increase. When one ascended to the 7th level, they would be extremely close to surpassing realm. However, even at the 7th level, there was no way to break through to surpassing realm. Although the 7th immortal foundation was enough to touch the threshold of surpassing realm, in order to truly break through to surpassing realm, a huge opportunity was needed to help a cultivator complete this breakthrough. And this kind of opportunity wasn't easy to obtain. This was the most difficult thing a cultivator had to face. Therefore, in this epoch, there were so many amazing characters, such as Pangu, Nuer, Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginning, Heavenly Lord of Tao and Virtue, the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, and so on. What kind of tyrannical existences were they? However, none of them were able to break through to surpassing realm. From this, one could see how difficult it was to break through to surpassing realm. Lin Feng's current strength should be able to fight against quasi-surpassing realm cultivators with the first immortal foundation. But if he faced a quasi-surpassing realm expert even stronger, Lin Feng didn't have many ways to deal with them. After all, they were simply too tyrannical, far surpassing Lin Feng. If Lin Feng could break through to the Sage realm, he might be able to fight against some high-level quasi-surpassing realm cultivators. At this time, the terrifying existence said eerily, "Your methods are quite powerful, and you have a lot of treasures. But it's useless. None of you are a Sage realm cultivator, and you still want to fight against me? You're still far from it." After saying that, the terrifying existence once again charged towards Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng's face revealed a cold smile, and he quickly summoned the Book of the Dead. The Sage realm undead inside the Book of the Dead flew out. These Sage realm undead began to help Lin Feng activate the 5 ancient weapons. After receiving the support of these Sage realm undead, the power of the 5 ancient weapons began to increase greatly. Seeing so many Sage realm undead flying out, the terrifying existence's expression couldn't help but change. Obviously, He didn't expect Lin Feng to be able to summon so many terrifying undead. After feeling the power of the 5 ancient weapons, the terrifying existence's expression became solemn. His expression was extremely gloomy, and he hurriedly summoned that powerful strange energy, bombarding the 5 ancient weapons. But this time, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and 56 undead together activated the ancient weapons. The power was too strong. The 5 ancient weapons directly broke the terrifying existence's attack. Then, under the control of Lin Feng, the 5 ancient weapons quickly bombarded the terrifying existence. End of chapter. Chapter 57-59. Damn it. After seeing the 5 ancient weapons break his attack, the terrifying existence's face suddenly became extremely gloomy. He couldn't help but curse angrily. Facing the attack of the 5 ancient weapons, he didn't take the 5 ancient weapons head-on. Instead, he quickly retreated. But Lin Feng didn't want to let this terrifying existence go. If he could kill this guy and devour his origin, Lin Feng felt that he should be able to increase his strength by a lot. So Lin Feng really wanted to kill this guy. Lin Feng continued to control the ancient weapons to attack this terrifying existence. This terrifying existence wanted to increase the distance between the two sides. But Lin Feng didn't give him the chance at all. The 5 ancient weapons had already locked onto this terrifying existence. These 5 ancient weapons once again fiercely bombarded this terrifying existence. This terrifying existence had no choice but to block the attacks of Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapons. Bang bang bang. This terrifying existence slapped out palm after palm. Every palm strike, it would fiercely collide with the attacks of these 5 ancient weapons. The violent collision sounds were simply earth-shattering. This terrifying existence was indeed powerful. He was actually able to fight to a draw with Lin Feng and the others. After all, Lin Feng and the others had so many people. And they even used 5 ancient weapons. Lin Feng and the others' fighting strength was extremely terrifying. It was still difficult to defeat this guy. Lin Feng and the others were also quite depressed. The two sides entered a stalemate for a short period of time. But at this moment, a cultivator flew in from outside. That cultivator was wearing a black robe and a bamboo hat. After seeing that cultivator, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed an extremely shocked expression. Because Lin Feng had seen this cultivator before. It was the Dragon Clan cultivator who had entered the Earth Attribute tomb before. He should have obtained something good, but what exactly did he get? Lin Feng didn't know. This cultivator's methods were very extraordinary. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to fight his way out of the encirclement of hundreds of people. Lin Feng didn't expect him to appear in this place. He didn't know how he came here. Could it be that he followed them here? Lin Feng felt that this person shouldn't have come with them. It was very likely that he had found this burial ground himself. If that was the case, then this person's methods were truly terrifying. At this very moment, after flying over, he immediately launched an attack on that terrifying existence. He took out the magic treasure that looked like a metal ball, and 9 true dragons appeared. The 9 dragons lunged at the terrifying existence. That terrifying existence was being attacked from both sides, and his expression became increasingly gloomy. Such a situation was too disadvantageous for him. Of course, he wouldn't put himself in such a disadvantageous situation, so he wanted to get rid of Lin Feng and the others and quickly leave this place. As long as he could leave this place, he could still hide in the dark and find an opportunity to sneak attack Lin Feng and the others. With his tyrannical cultivation, if he sneak attacked Lin Feng and the others, the probability of success was still very high. But Lin Feng didn't give him this opportunity at all. Because Lin Feng knew that now that the Dragon Clan cultivator had joined in, it was the best opportunity to get rid of this terrifying existence in front of him. If he missed this opportunity, he would definitely regret it. It would be extremely difficult to get rid of this terrifying existence. So Lin Feng had to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lin Feng and the others were now using all their methods, without holding back. The power of the 5 ancient weapons grew stronger and stronger under the control of Lin Feng and the others. It wasn't easy for this terrifying existence to get rid of Lin Feng and the others. The pressure brought by the 5 ancient weapons was too great. He tried several times, but in the end, he failed. And at this moment, the 9 true dragons had already arrived in front of this terrifying existence. The 9 true dragons were like real true dragons. Terrifying to the extreme. He had no choice but to block the attacks of the 9 true dragons. He blocked the attacks of the 5 ancient weapons while blocking the attacks of the 9 true dragons. This was, of course, an extremely terrible thing for him. Even a terrifying existence as powerful as this was suppressed to a great extent. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! All of you besieged me together, and even used so many powerful magic treasures to besiege me. You won with an unfair advantage. This terrifying existence roared angrily. Lin Feng sneered. So what if they won with an unfair advantage? In this world, people would only remember those who had won, not those who had died. No matter how strong one's individual combat power was, if you were killed by a group of people, you would still die in the end and be forgotten by everyone. But those who survived might become even stronger in the future, and might be remembered by everyone. So, in the world of cultivators, there was no such thing as an unfair advantage. There was only life and death. The battle between the two sides became more and more intense. This kind of battle lasted for about half an hour, and this terrifying existence was about to be unable to hold on. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng and the others' faces suddenly revealed a look of incomparable surprise. And this terrifying existence was a little flustered and exasperated. He had such a powerful cultivation, but he was suppressed to such a degree. Naturally, this made him extremely angry. At this time, Lin Feng was observing the mysterious cultivator. That mysterious cultivator's magic treasure was able to condense 9 true dragons. Just who was he? Lin Feng thought of a possibility. Could this cultivator be a cultivator of the true dragon clan? Lin Feng didn't know if his guess was right. But there seemed to be a voice in his heart telling him that this mysterious dragon clan cultivator was a true dragon clan cultivator. Now was not the time to ask him. It wouldn't be too late to ask him after killing this terrifying existence. Just as Lin Feng and the others were about to kill this terrifying existence in one go, a cultivator shrouded in darkness walked out of the void. The cultivator shrouded in darkness held a sword in his hand and directly stabbed at Lin Feng. This cultivator was really good at hiding. Even Lin Feng didn't notice his existence. At this moment, Lin Feng and the others were at the most critical moment of the battle. He suddenly appeared, wanting to catch Lin Feng off guard. After sensing the aura emitted by this cultivator, Lin Feng's expression couldn't help but change slightly. He was too familiar with the aura emitted by this cultivator because this aura was unique to assassins. This person was actually an assassin. End of chapter. Chapter 5760. After the killer restrained Lin Feng, the terrifying existence began to struggle violently. Obviously, he wanted to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get rid of Lin Feng and the others' siege. Now that Lin Feng needed to deal with this killer, the power of the 5 ancient weapons was greatly reduced. And this terrifying existence struggled more and more violently. It seemed to be about to break free. At this moment, the Dragon Tribe cultivator performed thousands of hand seals in a row. Those hand seals all poured into the metal ball-like magic weapon, and a special kind of energy suddenly gushed out of the metal ball-like magic weapon. Then all the energy gathered into the 9-headed true dragon's body. The 9-headed true dragon's strength greatly increased. That terrifying existence was immediately suppressed by the 9-headed true dragon. There was no way to escape. And at this time, the killer's sword had already arrived in front of Lin Feng, wanting to stab Lin Feng to death. Lin Feng's face was full of an incomparably cold expression. Dense runes appeared on the surface of Lin Feng's body. Those runes were all defensive runes. When the killer's sword was about to stab Lin Feng, it was all blocked by those defensive runes on Lin Feng's body. The current Lin Feng was really too powerful. Even for these killers, it was extremely difficult to assassinate Lin Feng. Because as long as Lin Feng was given a breath's time, Lin Feng could condense some extremely powerful attacks. Or some powerful defensive means. Then attack or defend. Like now. Lin Feng chose to defend, because this killer's attack was too powerful. Lin Feng was worried that if he attacked this killer, he didn't know if this killer would use some other powerful means. If he defended, then he would be able to resolve this killer's attack. After resolving this killer's attack, then he would launch a counterattack. In this way, Lin Feng would be in an invincible position. When the assassin saw that his sword had been blocked, his expression immediately became extremely ugly. He didn't expect that in such a short time, Lin Feng could condense defensive runes to deal with him. This gave him a huge shock. Therefore, when Lin Feng used these means, the killer was directly caught off guard. Lin Feng slapped towards the killer. Powerful magic power gushed out continuously. The power of Lin Feng's palm was quite powerful. But this killer's means were also extremely extraordinary. Facing Lin Feng's terrifying palm, the killer's illusory body became illusory. The assassin's body suddenly became illusory. That kind of attack was really powerful. He dodged Lin Feng's punch. Then he wanted to escape through the void. Lin Feng's face revealed a sneer. He used the space Dao to imprison the void, so the killer's idea of escaping through the void was immediately shattered. The killer's illusory body returned to normal. That strange method of his was probably used a few times. It was very similar to Lin Feng's heaven patching technique. After using it once, it would probably take a while to recover before it could be used again. Lin Feng's face revealed a cold expression. He threw a punch at the assassin. At such a close distance, he began to fight with the assassin. This killer had to resist Lin Feng's attack. He slapped towards Lin Feng. Boom! Accompanied by the violent collision, this killer and Lin Feng fiercely collided. This killer's most powerful means were not one-on-one fights. His most powerful means were actually assassination techniques. Now that Lin Feng had broken his assassination technique and then began to fight him at close range, this killer naturally could not resist Lin Feng's tyrannical attack. Although this killer's strength was extremely extraordinary, compared to Lin Feng, there was still a certain gap. Therefore, this killer was directly sent flying by Lin Feng. His arm was broken, and he was unable to resist Lin Feng's attack at all. This killer directly spat out a mouthful of blood. His injuries were very serious. His combat strength had also dropped significantly. Lin Feng raised his right hand and directly slashed out a beam of sword chi. That beam of sword chi locked onto this killer. This made it impossible for this killer to dodge or escape. He had no choice but to resist this beam of sword chi that Lin Feng slashed out. He held the sword in his hand in front of him to block the attack of this beam of sword chi. Along with the sound of a collision, a sonorous sound was heard. The beam of sword chi that Lin Feng slashed out collided with the sword in the killer's hand. The sword in the killer's hand was directly broken by the beam of sword chi that Lin Feng had slashed out. Then this beam of sword chi. In an instant, the killer's head was beheaded. After the assassin was killed, Yi Zichen looked at the sky. Lin Feng continued to urge the 5 ancient weapons to join forces with the Dragon Clan expert to deal with this terrifying existence. That terrifying cultivator hadn't been able to escape when Lin Feng had been attacked by the assassins, so now he was even more powerful. He also knew that his situation was quite bad. Therefore, this terrifying existence said loudly, "There is no need for us to fight to the death, right? What's more, I still have powerful means that I haven't used yet. I don't want to fight with you to the point where both of us suffer. And I think that we don't have an endless hatred. I can tell you a big secret, but you have to let me go." After hearing this terrifying existence's words, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed a sneer. He naturally wouldn't negotiate with this terrifying existence, because letting the tiger return to the mountain would cause endless trouble in the future. Moreover, there were so many secrets in the world, he didn't have to know all of them. Therefore, regarding the secret that this terrifying existence was talking about, Lin Feng wasn't very interested in it. Lin Feng and the others continued controlling the ancient weapons. They all joined hands and controlled the ancient weapons. The power was still increasing. This terrifying existence also knew that Lin Feng and the others didn't intend to let him go. Therefore, he also began to fight with all his might. His body was burning fiercely. He was burning his own origin to increase his battle strength. However, Lin Feng and the others were also crazily urging several supreme treasures to increase their battle strength. Finally, after a fierce battle between the two sides, Lin Feng seized a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. His Pangu axe fiercely chopped the body of this terrifying existence. Pu. A tearing sound was heard. The body of this terrifying existence was split in half by Lin Feng's Pangu axe. Chapter 5761. Although his body had been split in half, he didn't die immediately. This was because this terrifying existence's life force was extremely tenacious. How could a powerful and terrifying existence like him die so easily? His body still wanted to reassemble. However, Lin Feng didn't give him the chance to do so. Lin Feng waved his hand. The heavenly fire flew out continuously and wrapped around the body of this terrifying existence. The heavenly fire burned fiercely. Lin Feng's heavenly fire was extremely terrifying. This terrifying existence didn't have a real body of flesh and blood. His body was formed from a type of energy that fused with his divine sense. This existence's body was rather strange. It felt like a yin spirit. Therefore, it was easier to deal with this existence. Under the burning of the heavenly fire, his body was slowly being refined. Of course, he wasn't willing to accept this. He roared loudly, "Let me go. Do you know who I am? If you kill me, you won't have a good ending either." Lin Feng sneered, "I don't care who you are. I just want your life." Lin Feng continued to control the heavenly fire. The heavenly fire grew stronger and stronger, becoming more and more terrifying. The existence's body was slowly being refined into a ball of origin energy. He wanted to reveal his identity, but Lin Feng didn't give him the chance to do so. Before he could say anything, Lin Feng punched him. There was a loud bang. The remnant of the existence's body exploded. He would never be able to say the words he wanted to say. Lin Feng controlled the heavenly fire and completely refined the existence's body into a ball of origin energy. This ball of origin energy was extremely powerful. Lin Feng's face immediately revealed an extremely happy expression. Lin Feng divided the ball of origin energy into 5 parts. One for each person. The dragon cultivator naturally had one as well. Lin Feng handed the ball of origin energy to him, and he put it away. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "I am Lin Feng. May I know how to address you?" The dragon cultivator replied, "Long Chenying." Long Chenying. Long Shiyu tried to recall this name. He tried his best to find a cultivator called Long Chenying in his mind. However, he was unable to find such a person. Lin Feng looked at Long Chenying and asked, "Brother, are you a cultivator from the true dragon race?" Long Chenying asked, "Why do you think so?" Lin Feng replied, "Based on my instincts, I can sense that you're a cultivator from the true dragon race." Long Chenying nodded. "That's right, I'm a cultivator of the true dragon tribe. I'm a descendant of the 7th true dragon emperor." Hearing Long Chenying admit his identity, Long Shiyu was extremely shocked. He knew that all the major forces had been searching for the descendant of the true dragon great emperor. However, no one had ever been able to find the descendants of the true dragon great emperor. And now, this cultivator was actually a descendant of the true dragon great emperor. The descendant of the true dragon great emperor must have known that someone was looking for them. However, that person didn't appear. It seemed that he didn't want to participate in the struggles of the dragon realm. Lin Feng said, "I really didn't expect to see a cultivator from the true dragon race here. I have to thank Brother Long for today's matter." Long Chenying replied, "I only helped you because I sensed the aura of the true dragon token on your body." Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. As a cultivator from the true dragon race, Long Chenying should have been able to sense the true dragon token on his body. This wasn't particularly surprising for Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was surprised by Long Chenying's attitude towards him. It seemed that Long Chenying didn't intend to take his real token. If he did, he wouldn't have helped him in the first place. Lin Feng replied, "That's right. I have the true dragon token, and I will become the master of the dragon realm." Long Chenying nodded and said, "The true dragon race does have such a rule." The person who has the true dragon token can become the master of the dragon realm. You do indeed have the qualifications. Lin Feng asked, "Are you interested in joining forces with me to do something big?" Long Chenying replied, "I'm used to being alone, and I have no intention of joining forces with others." Lin Feng was able to glean a lot of information from Long Chenying's words. Since Long Chenying said that he was alone and was used to being alone, did that mean that he was the only one in his bloodline? Lin Feng said, "How lonely is a person's life? How boring is that? How nice would it be to have a few more friends by your side? Don't you think I'm right?" Long Chenying didn't say anything. Lin Feng continued, "We're now at the end of the epoch, and this is a great era. Although this great era is accompanied by endless dangers, and the slightest carelessness can lead to eternal damnation, it's precisely because of this great era that we have so many opportunities, such as the opportunity to surpass the Saint Realm. It's not easy for one person to seize these opportunities at the end of the epoch. If we join forces, our chances will be greater," Long Chenying said. "Your reasons won't move me. I'm used to being alone, and life and death are like floating clouds to me. Some people might think that they were indifferent to life and death. However, when they were faced with death, they would feel fear. They wouldn't want to die, and they wouldn't be willing to accept it." Perhaps Long Chenying was someone who thought that he had seen through life and death. Because he didn't have any friends, relatives, lovers, or friends, he thought that way. Moreover, he was very strong. Perhaps he had never faced death directly before. However, when he truly faced death, he wouldn't think that way anymore. When the time came, he would understand that living was the most important thing. Lin Feng said, "I hope you can consider what I said. If you and I become friends, we can join forces and do something great. When the time comes, we'll definitely be able to leave our names in the history of this epoch." "Is reputation that important?" Long Chenying asked. "What's so bad about being able to make your name go down in history while making some contributions? After all, people live for a breath, and Buddha fights for an incense stick," Lin Feng said. Long Chenying fell silent again. Then, he changed the topic and said, "You're quite capable. You actually found the tomb of the 8th true dragon Great Emperor. Did you come here to steal the treasures of the true dragon Great Emperor?" Long Chenying said this because there were many people in the world of cultivators who liked to find the tombs of top-tier experts and rob them of everything. For example, Taoist Wu Liang liked to do this. Long Chenying didn't understand why Lin Feng and the others had come. Chapter 5762. Lin Feng said, "We didn't come here because we wanted to get something from the 8th true dragon emperor's tomb. The reason why we're here is because I was asked by the 9 sons of the true dragon to help them pay their respects to their father." Hearing Lin Feng's words, Chenying was surprised. Long Chenying revealed an extremely shocked expression. "The 9 sons of the true dragon? You're saying that the 8th true dragon emperor's 9 sons are still alive?" Lin Feng nodded. "That's right. They're still alive." Long Chenying frowned. "That can't be right. Based on what I know, aren't the 9 sons of the true dragon already dead?" Lin Feng shook his head. "They aren't dead. They've been cursed and are currently trapped in the southern immortal and devil region." "I see." Long Chenying nodded and couldn't help but sigh. Because if you think about it carefully, he was related to the 9 sons of the true dragon by blood. Of course, whether it was his or the 9 sons of the true dragon bloodline in their bodies wasn't pure. There was a reason why they weren't pure-blooded. The 9 sons of the true dragon emperor were different because of the bloodline of the true dragon clan. Why were there so few true dragons? The main reason was that it was very difficult for a true dragon to give birth to a pure-blooded true dragon. But in reality, none of the 9 true dragons that had appeared in the world had given birth to a pure-blooded true dragon. If they weren't pure-blooded true dragons, then they were in other forms. These 9 forms were the famous 9 great races. They were Chonyo, Yazi, Chao Feng, Pulio, Bayan, Daotai, Bayan, and Kayan. Only the true dragon heirs would have the chance to evolve into a pure-blooded true dragon. Long Chenying wasn't in his true dragon form. If Long Chenying wanted to transform into a true dragon, unless his true dragon bloodline could continue to grow stronger. Then, his true dragon bloodline would gradually replace the other true dragon bloodlines. Once all of his true dragon bloodlines became true dragon bloodlines, he would be able to transform into a true dragon. This was an extremely long process, as well as an extremely difficult one. Only after a long period of time did the 9 true dragon emperors appear. It could be seen from this. How difficult was it to complete such a transformation? At that moment, Long Qianying continued, since you've come to pay respects to the 8th great emperor on behalf of the 9 sons of the true dragon, you can pay respects to him now. Lin Feng nodded. Of course, he still had some things to say to Long Qianying. However, the most important thing right now was to pay respects to the true dragon emperor. Lin Feng took out a lot of offerings and placed them in front of the tomb. Then, he began the ritual. Actually, the sacrificial ceremony wasn't that formal. It was just a simple sacrificial ceremony. After completing the ritual, Lin Feng knelt in front of the grave and said, "Senior True Dragon Emperor, the True Dragon's 9 sons are cursed and can't come in person. They asked me to come and pay respects to you in their place. I was moved by their filial piety, so I came to pay respects to you in their place. Once I help them get rid of the curse, they'll be able to pay respects to you." After he finished speaking, Lin Feng knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times in front of the True Dragon Emperor's grave. After Lin Feng finished paying his respects, suddenly, a shocking thing happened. Hundreds of millions of runes flew out of the True Dragon Emperor's grave. The densely packed runes were mysterious and unfathomable. Each rune contained enough power to destroy the heavens and the earth. When they sensed the terrifying power contained within the runes, even Lin Feng had a shocked expression on his face. This is, Long Qianying's face immediately revealed a moved expression. These are true dragon runes. Long Xiu's face couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. Du Zhu and the heretical diviner saint didn't know much about these runes either. Du Zhu asked, "What's so special about these true dragon runes?" Long Xiu said, "Ordinary true dragon runes don't have anything special about them, but these true dragon runes are very special. If I'm not wrong, these true dragon runes should be the true dragon emperor's life runes condensed in the past. Logically speaking, these runes should have dissipated after the true dragon emperor's death, but they haven't. This means that they're extremely terrifying. These runes contain a terrifying amount of energy. If you can refine them, your battle prowess will increase tremendously." Long Xiu's words, Du Zhu and the heretical diviner saint were shocked. They naturally knew what Long Xiu was trying to say. In other words, if Lin Feng refined these runes, in the future, when he fought against others, he would be able to use the power of these runes to increase his battle prowess. In truth, these runes were very similar to Pangu's imprint, the ruler's armor, the sacred bone, the magic lotus, the tiny golden humanoid, and the stone clone. When Lin Feng saw those talismans flying towards him, he smiled. He hadn't expected to receive such benefits from representing the 9 sons of the true dragon to pay respects to the true dragon emperor. This was truly something to be happy about. However, Lin Feng knew that he hadn't refined these runes yet. It seemed a little too early to be happy now. Whether or not he could refine these runes was still unknown. The true dragon runes hovered around Lin Feng. Each rune looked like a miniature true dragon. The true dragon runes let out a series of dragon roars. These dragon roars echoed throughout the world. They resonated with the laws of the world. Lin Feng stretched out his right hand. Next, the true dragon runes quickly flew towards Lin Feng's right hand. All the runes flew into Lin Feng's palm. Then, they drilled into Lin Feng's body. The true dragon runes finally entered Lin Feng's dantian. All the true dragon runes gathered together. These true dragon runes contained extremely powerful energy fluctuations. They eventually turned into a green true dragon, entrenched in Lin Feng's dantian. Lin Feng tried to communicate with the true dragon runes in his dantian. Soon, Lin Feng succeeded in establishing contact with the true dragon runes in his dantian. When the two sides established contact, Lin Feng's face immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Because at this time, he had already controlled the true dragon runes in his dantian. In other words, Now, Lin Feng could mobilize the powerful energy contained in the true dragon runes to increase his battle prowess. Chapter 5763. Congratulations, young master, for obtaining the runes of the true dragon. Du Zhu and the evil dominator saint walked up and congratulated Lin Feng. Congratulations, Lin Feng, for obtaining the runes of the true dragon. Long Shiyu also congratulated Lin Feng. They were truly happy for Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled. That's a pleasant surprise, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at Long Qianying and said, Brother Long, what do you think of what I said earlier? Long Qianying looked deeply at Lin Feng and said, I will think about it carefully, but I can't give you an answer right now. Tell me your address. If I really want to, I will look for you when the time comes. Lin Feng told Long Qianying his address. Long Qianying didn't seem to want to leave for the time being. Lin Feng knew. Long Qianying must have his own reasons for staying. So Lin Feng and the others decided to leave first and leave Long Qianying alone. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, Brother Long, we will take our leave first. See you again. Okay. Long Qianying replied. Lin Feng and the others didn't stay any longer and directly left. They soon left. When Lin Feng and the others came out, they directly flew in the direction of Zhenlong City. After returning to the Sacred Dragon Clan's residence, Lin Feng learned that the top experts of the Sacred Dragon Clan had arrived. Even the quasi-transcendence expert of the Sacred Dragon Clan had arrived. The next step was to discuss the matter of cooperation with these experts. Long Guiyue was the middleman in this matter. Lin Feng felt that the chances of cooperation were relatively high. After all, Long Guiyue was the second strongest person of the Sacred Dragon Clan. After he agreed, the next step was to see how the quasi-transcendence expert of the Sacred Dragon Clan would react. The news of Lin Feng and the others' return naturally reached the ears of the higher-ups of the Sacred Dragon Clan. Long Guiyue personally came to visit Lin Feng. Then, he told Lin Feng about the negotiations that would take place tomorrow. He had a good night's rest. The next day, after breakfast, Long Shiyu brought Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretic dominator saint to the living room to discuss the matter of cooperation with the Sacred Dragon Tribe's upper echelons. When Lin Feng arrived, he saw Lin Feng. There were already 5 people sitting in the living room. Lin Feng recognized Long Guiyue. Lin Feng didn't recognize the other 4. Among the 4 people, the old man sitting on the main seat should be the Sacred Dragon Tribe's expert who had surpassed the realm. The other 3 should be the Sacred Dragon Tribe's Sage Realm experts. Although not all the top powerhouses of the Dragon Clan had arrived. However, these people could already represent the Sacred Dragon Tribe. After seeing Lin Feng, several experts from the Sacred Dragon Tribe were astonished. Perhaps it was because Lin Feng was too young, which made them feel that it was a little inconceivable. Long Guiyue stood up and said with a smile, Ancestor, elders, let me introduce you. This is Lin Feng and Lin Gongzi. Then, Long Guiyue introduced these experts to Lin Feng. Just as Lin Feng had guessed, that old man was the Sacred Dragon Tribe's ancestor, an expert who had surpassed the realm. The other 3. The strongest cultivator was an 8th heavenly layer Sage Realm cultivator. This cultivator was extremely powerful, and his cultivation was simply unfathomable. The other 2 experts. One was at the 5th level of the Sage Realm, while the other was at the 3rd level of the Sage Realm. They were both very powerful. After the 2 sides got to know each other, they greeted each other, and Lin Feng and the others took their seats. Long Guiyue said, Since everyone is here, let's discuss the matter of cooperation. It was at this moment that a voice came from outside. Everyone, I came uninvited. You won't blame me, right? After this voice sounded, a group of people walked in from outside. The cultivator in the lead looked to be in his 50s. This cultivator's strength was also quite tyrannical. He was actually an 8th level Sage Realm expert. However, this cultivator clearly wasn't from the Sacred Dragon Tribe. In addition to this cultivator, Lin Feng also saw Long Shiyang. Long Shiyu's expression was somewhat unsightly. Long Shiyu whispered, This person is an expert from Long Xian's mother's clan. He's an 8th level Sage Realm expert. Lin Feng nodded. He knew that this person was probably someone Long Shiyang had hired to deal with him. Lin Feng originally thought that this assassin was someone Long Shiyang had hired, but now it seemed that this wasn't the case. Logically speaking, this person should have made the best decision to deal with him outside. Why didn't he make a move? Could it be because of Long Shiyu? Lin Feng's guess was correct. Originally, they had planned to kill Lin Feng on the way, but since Long Shiyu was with Lin Feng, they had no choice but to give up. Therefore, they gave up on this plan. However, they already knew that the Sacred Dragon Tribe wanted to cooperate with Lin Feng. Although they didn't know much, they still didn't know much. They didn't know what the Sacred Dragon Tribe and Lin Feng were cooperating in. But as long as they knew that they were going to cooperate, it was enough. What they needed to do now was to destroy the cooperation between the two sides. Therefore, this group of people came here. When they saw the newcomers, Long Guiyue couldn't help but frown slightly. This negotiation was a relatively private one. Although the newcomers were related to them by marriage, in fact, the relationship between the two clans was relatively ordinary. This was because it was too common for large factions to form alliances through marriage. Marriage didn't necessarily mean that they had a good relationship. Moreover, these people had come uninvited. Moreover, they didn't seem to have good intentions. However, in consideration of both parties' faces, Long Guiyue didn't express the dissatisfaction in his heart. Long Guiyue said, "I didn't expect Brother Wu to come. May I know why Brother Wu is here?" The cultivator that Long Guiyue addressed as Brother Wu was called Wu Dingtian. He was a cultivator from the Tyrant Dragon Tribe. The Tyrant Dragon Tribe was an extremely ancient dragon tribe. This tribe was very powerful and had many top-notch experts. It was said that this tribe also had a kind of expert that surpassed the realm of cultivation. It was precisely because this tribe was too powerful. Therefore, Long Xian's status in the Sacred Dragon Tribe was so high. Wu Dingtian said, "I'm indeed here for a matter." After a pause, he continued, "I heard that recently, the Sacred Dragon Tribe seems to want to cooperate with a human kid. Although I don't know what you want to cooperate with, you can cooperate with our Tyrant Dragon Tribe. After all, we are related by marriage. There's no need to cooperate with a weak human. What do you think of my suggestion, Brother Long?" Wu Dingtian had a faint smile on his face. It was as if he was certain that he had Lin Feng. Chapter 5764. Wu Dingtian's words left Lin Feng speechless. This guy didn't even know what kind of cooperation he wanted to discuss with the Sacred Dragon Tribe. He actually came here to boast shamelessly. He really didn't have any self-awareness. He really overestimated himself. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who despised Wu Dingtian. Du Zhu, evil sovereign saint, and Long Shiyu also despised Wu Dingtian. Even at this moment, Long Guiyue and the others also despised Wu Dingtian. He really thought too highly of himself and the Tyrant Dragon Tribe. Although the Tyrant Dragon Tribe was very powerful, they were still lacking when compared to the declining Sacred Dragon Tribe. Moreover, did the Tyrant Dragon Tribe have the ability to help the Sacred Dragon Tribe rise again? Of course not. Long Guiyue said, "Brother Wu, you don't know what we want to discuss. Therefore, you were a little reckless today. Now, take your people and leave this place quickly. Don't hurt the harmony between us." Hearing Long Guiyue's words, Wu Dingtian's expression turned slightly gloomy. He had already made it so clear. Long Guiyue still didn't choose to cooperate with the Tyrant Dragon Tribe. He was naturally furious. Because in his opinion, Long Guiyue didn't give him any face. He thought so because he felt that a young cultivator like Lin Feng could discuss something important with the Sacred Dragon Tribe. The matter to be discussed. It probably wouldn't be anything too important. But no matter what it was, the Tyrant Dragon Tribe would definitely be able to discuss this matter with the Sacred Dragon Tribe. Since that was the case, they should choose to cooperate with the Tyrant Dragon Tribe, and not continue to cooperate with Lin Feng. Actually, this guy misunderstood Long Guiyue. Because only Lin Feng could help the Sacred Dragon Tribe rise again. The others simply didn't have this ability. Wu Dingtian saw that Long Guiyue's attitude was firm and said with a gloomy expression, "Brother Long, since you've already made it so clear, I still have some matters to attend to today. I hope Brother Long won't stop me from handling these matters. What matters? Long Guo asked. Our tyrant dragon tribe has some grudges with this kid. Wu Dingtian said. Long Guo's expression sank slightly as he asked, what grudge does he have with your clan? Wu Dingtian replied, it's not convenient for me to talk about the grudges between you and my family. Actually, the reason why he didn't say anything was because Lin Feng didn't have any grudges with them. Of course, he didn't know how to lie. The reason why he said that he had a grudge with Lin Feng was to find an excuse to make a move. None of them were fools. Naturally, he knew. What he said was true. What the hell was he planning? At this moment, Long Dingtian continued, but if everyone allows me to resolve the grudges between us, my tyrant dragon tribe will definitely not treat your sacred dragon tribe unfairly. Wu Dingtian was obviously too arrogant. The quasi-transcendent realm expert from the sacred dragon race said coldly, Wu Dingtian, if you have any grudges, then leave them for the future. Today is not the time for you to settle your grudges. Today, we need to discuss some important matters with Lin Gongzi. Therefore, you should bring your men and leave quickly. Seeing that the quasi-transcendent realm expert from the sacred dragon tribe had already spoken, Wu Dingtian naturally didn't dare to continue being impudent here. What he had experienced today was completely different from what he had expected. Therefore, Wu Dingtian was rather sullen. But now, he had no choice but to leave temporarily. Just as Wu Dingtian was about to leave with the others, Lin Feng spoke, don't you have some grudges to settle? I think it's better to settle it here, so that you won't find trouble with me in the future. Hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone was shocked. Wu Dingtian's cultivation was so powerful, but Lin Feng actually dared to settle the so-called grudges with Wu Dingtian here. Wasn't he afraid of Wu Dingtian? This was indeed out of everyone's expectations. Even the quasi-transcendent realm expert from the sacred dragon tribe couldn't help but frown slightly. He didn't know where Lin Feng got the courage to say such words. Kid, you have some guts. Lin Feng sneered and said, not only do I have guts, but I also have sufficient strength. As his voice faded, Lin Feng immediately sent out a palm strike towards Wu Dingtian. An energy palm print condensed in the air and blasted towards Wu Dingtian. Facing such a tyrannical palm strike, Wu Dingtian's expression couldn't help but change. He didn't expect a young cultivator like Lin Feng to have such powerful strength. Not only did Wu Dingtian's expression change, the rest of the people's expressions also changed. The strength that Lin Feng displayed was too powerful, causing everyone to be overwhelmed with shock. Some of the weaker cultivators couldn't even withstand the pressure emitted from Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng's pressure was naturally emitted and wasn't deliberately emitted. The pressure that was naturally emitted was already so powerful. Therefore, it was hard to imagine how terrifying Lin Feng's strength was. Of course, Wu Dingtian was a top expert after all. Therefore, facing Lin Feng's attack, he didn't just sit there and wait for death. He was actually quite confident in his own strength. He sent out a palm strike and collided with the energy palm strike that Lin Feng had sent out. When their attacks collided, Li Tianlan's eyes lit up. Everyone saw that Wu Dingtian, an expert at the 8th heaven of the Sage Realm, was actually sent flying by Lin Feng's palm strike. Whoa! Wu Dingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. Plop! He then fell to the ground. His face was even paler. The surroundings suddenly became completely silent. Wu Dingtian was a top expert, but he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Lin Feng. It was hard to imagine how powerful Lin Feng was. And the most important thing was, how old was Lin Feng? He was only 200 years old. So young, he actually had such terrifying combat strength. It was impossible to imagine how terrifying Lin Feng would become in the future. Could it be that he would become an existence that surpassed the realm in the future? Thinking of this, many people's hearts couldn't help but tremble. Everyone felt that perhaps Lin Feng could really become such an expert. After all, Lin Feng's current performance was simply too heaven-defying. Long Xiang and the others revealed an extremely terrified expression, especially Long Xiang. He had a grudge with Lin Feng. It was only now that he knew how terrifying Lin Feng was. Now, He was already regretting provoking Lin Feng. If such an existence wanted to kill him, it was simply a matter of a flick of a finger. Even if Lin Feng killed him, the Sacred Dragon Tribe wouldn't say anything. Because the Sacred Dragon Tribe would never offend a powerful figure like Lin Feng for a junior like him. End of this chapter. Chapter 5765. Wu Dingtian looked at Lin Feng with eyes filled with fear. At this moment, he was already riding a tiger and had no way to back down. He didn't expect Lin Feng to be so terrifying. If Lin Feng wanted to kill him, he wouldn't be able to escape. Right now, his entire body was shivering. This was an expert at the 8th layer of the Sage Realm. To be able to scare an expert at this level to the point of shivering, it could be seen how powerful Lin Feng's deterrence was. Today, I will give the Sacred Dragon Tribe some face. Hurry up and scram. Don't let me see you again. If I see you again, I will make sure you die without a burial ground. Lin Feng's cold voice echoed. But his words. To this group of people, it was like the sound of nature. The group of people didn't dare to stay any longer and hurriedly left. When they came, they were arrogant. But when they left, they were like stray dogs. It was truly a great irony. However, Lin Feng had handled this matter beautifully. This was because the cultivators in the world of cultivators cared more about their face. Furthermore, the Tyrant Dragon Tribe and the Sacred Dragon Tribe were related by marriage. If Lin Feng were to kill the 8th layer Sage Realm expert of the Tyrant Dragon Tribe here, then, it might even cause the Tyrant Dragon Tribe and the Sacred Dragon Tribe to break off completely. The Sacred Dragon Tribe was naturally unwilling to see such a thing happen. After all, the Tyrant Dragon Tribe was rather powerful. Furthermore, the Tyrant Dragon Tribe also had a quasi-transcendence expert overseeing it. They weren't willing to offend such a colossus for no reason. Lin Feng had just said that he would give the Sacred Dragon Tribe some face and let these people go. This made the upper echelons of the Sacred Dragon Tribe feel honored. After these people left, the quasi-transcendence expert of the Sacred Dragon Tribe stood up. He cupped his fists and said, I really didn't expect Lin Gongzi to be so powerful. In the future, our Sacred Dragon Tribe is willing to follow Lin Gongzi's lead. We will listen to all of Lin Gongzi's orders. Long Guiyue and the rest also stood up. Long Guiyue had already made the decision to cooperate with Lin Feng. Now, the old ancestor had expressed his stance. The other 3 higher-ups naturally had no objections. Initially, they wanted to talk to Lin Feng about all kinds of conditions. But now that they saw how powerful Lin Feng was, they no longer intended to discuss these conditions with Lin Feng. Because they knew that as long as they could follow Lin Feng's footsteps closely, they would not be able to escape. In the future, would the Sacred Dragon Tribe still be afraid of not obtaining any benefits? There was no need to worry about this at all. Good. Since you have chosen to follow me, I will definitely not treat your Sacred Dragon Tribe unfairly in the future. However, I will say the ugly words first. Although I have a relationship with your Sacred Dragon Tribe, if anyone betrays me, I will not show mercy, Lin Feng said. The Sacred Dragon Tribe's expert, who had surpassed his cultivation level, said, Don't worry, young master. We definitely won't betray you. Lin Feng nodded. Next, he discussed the cooperation with the Sacred Dragon Tribe's upper echelons. Actually, Lin Feng didn't plan on fighting for territory with the 5 major forces yet. This was because Lin Feng felt that the 5 major forces were in the limelight right now. Although he had the support of the Sacred Dragon Tribe, there was still a big gap between his strength and the 5 great forces. Lin Feng had been waiting for an opportunity. Wait until the 5 great forces started fighting again. Wait until the 5 great forces were weakened. It wouldn't be too late to make a move then. Right now, Lin Feng's focus was mainly on breaking through to the Sage Realm. After Lin Feng became a Sage Realm expert, at that time, Lin Feng would be powerful. It was absolutely unimaginable. However, Lin Feng also knew that breaking through to the Sage Realm was not an easy task. Lin Feng felt that if he wanted to break through to the Sage Realm, he would need to go to the True Dragon Secret Realm to search for opportunities. Of course, whether or not he could find the opportunity to break through was still unknown. However, This was still an opportunity to break through to the Sage Realm. Lin Feng hoped that in the mysterious dragon world, he would be able to find some incredible opportunities to break through to the next cultivation layer. After discussing the specific matters, Lin Feng returned to his residence. After a short rest, Lin Feng entered the time-space. He began to refine the origin he had obtained earlier. That origin was extremely powerful. After refining the origin, Lin Feng's cultivation broke through from the 7th heaven of the Saint Immortal Realm to the 8th heaven of the Saint Immortal Realm. It was quite good to be able to raise one level. Now, he was only 2 levels away from the 10th heaven of the Saint Immortal Realm. If he could break through to the 4th heaven of the Saint Immortal Realm, he could make preparations to break through to the Sage Realm. After settling down for a period of time and finding a powerful opportunity, he could try to break through to the Sage Realm. Lin Feng was looking forward to breaking through to the Sage Realm. However, Lin Feng also knew that he had to do it step by step. He couldn't rush it. It wouldn't be long before the true dragon mystery realm opened. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't plan to stay in the true dragon city. He planned to return to the ancient dragon city and wait for the opening of the true dragon secret realm. Lin Feng asked Long Shiyu if he would go to the true dragon secret realm. Long Shiyu said he would go to the ancestral land to awaken his bloodline. He wouldn't go to the true dragon secret realm. Lin Feng wished Long Shiyu success in awakening his bloodline. After greeting the higher-ups of the sacred dragon clan, he left the true dragon city with Du Zhu and the evil dominator saint. They didn't waste any time and returned to the ancient dragon city. After returning, Lin Feng entered the time-space to cultivate in seclusion. Lin Feng mainly wanted to comprehend the Immortal Sutras. Recently, Lin Feng had obtained some top Immortal Sutras. He needed time to comprehend them. He could use this time to comprehend these Immortal Sutras. Time passed quickly. Lin Feng didn't come out until the true dragon secret realm was about to open. After Lin Feng came out, he learned that the true dragon secret realm would open in more than a month. It was said that many people had gone to the true dragon secret realm. After the first princess learned that Lin Feng had come out of seclusion, she came to visit Lin Feng and told Lin Feng about going to the true dragon secret realm. She invited Lin Feng to go to the true dragon secret realm. Lin Feng didn't have any objections and agreed to the first princess's invitation. 3 days later, everyone gathered. On Lin Feng's side, other than Lin Feng, there were Du Zhu and the evil dominator saint. On the first princess's side, there were 2 maids of the first princess. The first princess's 2 maids were called Qing Yu and Lan Xing. Not only were the 2 maids beautiful, but they were also very powerful. Qing Yu belonged to the category of women who were extremely tall and slender. Her pair of long legs were especially alluring. Lan Xing, on the other hand, was a voluptuous beauty. When the 3 of them walked together, they really attracted the attention of many. Going to the true dragon secret realm with 3 top-quality beauties was, of course, a happy thing. The 6 of them took Lin Feng's Shenyuan ancient starship and headed to the true dragon secret realm. Because the true dragon secret realm was in the overseas world. Therefore, they had to head to the overseas world. The Shenyuan ancient starship was flying rapidly in the void. 10 days later, they arrived at the overseas world. End of this chapter. Chapter 5766. The sea region of the Dragon Realm was somewhat different from the sea regions of other worlds. The laws of space and time in this sea region were very powerful. For example, it was very difficult for a deity realm cultivator to fly above the sea region. Only cultivators above the void immortal realm could fly above the sea region. The laws here not only suppressed the flight of cultivators. The suppression of the magic power of cultivators was also very strong. Therefore, the cultivators who entered the sea region were often unable to exert their full strength. The reason for this situation in the sea region world was said to be because the second-generation True Dragon Great Emperor had a great battle with the remnant of the epoch and the foreign creatures that invaded the Dragon Realm. Their great battle caused the laws to shatter. Many broken laws were integrated into the sea region world. Then they merged with the world of the sea region world, causing a huge change in the laws of the sea region world. Therefore, This place had such a great impact on the cultivation of cultivators. And there was another point. Because there were many broken laws here, the sea region world was too dangerous. Therefore, it was not suitable for ordinary people to live here. Therefore, there were fewer people in the sea region world. The cultivators who could establish themselves in the sea region world of the Dragon Realm were all relatively powerful cultivators. Unlike other worlds, such as the 9 Provinces Great World, there were all kinds of people in its sea region world. There were powerful cultivators and ordinary people with ordinary strength. It was the same for the Undying Realm. The population in the sea region world of the Undying Realm was even more than the people in the inner world. The population of the sea region world was about 60 to 70% of the total population. Most of them were ordinary people. Then the remaining part was cultivators with decent strength, and some people entered the sea region from the inner world. These foreign cultivators were basically the kind of cultivators who were looking for opportunities. These people were basically the composition of the sea region world cultivators. However, perhaps it was because the sea region world of the Dragon Realm suppressed cultivators too much that there were fewer people in the sea region world. Therefore, many resources in the sea region world of the Dragon Realm had not been exploited. On the way, Lin Feng heard the Grand Princess talk about some things in the sea region world of the Dragon Realm. When he heard these things, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed an extremely shocked expression. The resources of the sea region world were so rich. It should be very easy to establish a force here. After all, when Lin Feng was in the 9 Provinces Great World, and when he was in the Sky Martial Continent, he first made a fortune in the sea region world. Therefore, if he could control the sea region world, it would be easy to establish an extremely terrifying and powerful force. After chatting with the Great Princess, Lin Feng understood a lot about the influential groups in the overseas world. Even though there were some influential groups in the overseas world, however, these forces were not strong and did not form a large-scale force. This matter aroused Lin Feng's great curiosity. He did not know why such a situation would occur. Logically speaking, even if the overseas world had fewer ordinary people due to the fragmentation laws, it was still possible for them to have more ordinary people. However, there should be a lot of powerful cultivators. After all, there were so many resources here. However, that was not the case in reality. Thus, Lin Feng voiced out his doubts. After hearing the doubts in Lin Feng's heart, the first princess replied, "There's a reason why this happened. That's because the Dragon World's overseas world doesn't just have terrifying cosmic energies, it also has terrifying things. Some people say that there are many cursed creatures in the Dragon World, and those cursed creatures eat away at many influential groups," said Lin Feng. "These cursed creatures appear once every few years. Once they appear, it will be a disaster. In addition, there are many shattered spaces in the overseas world. In those shattered spaces, there are many insects that crawl over from foreign worlds. Those insects are too powerful, and they will target the cultivators of the overseas world and then kill them. Back then, several relatively powerful overseas world forces were destroyed overnight. Many people suspected that it was either these cursed creatures or the insects from foreign worlds who did it." Lin Feng revealed an extremely shocked expression. This was because there were many things that were groundless. Since there was such a rumor, then it was very likely that it was true. Therefore, when this kind of thing was spread out, one had to be extremely cautious. One could not be careless. In the world of cultivators, those who could survive were not necessarily those powerful cultivators. Those who could survive were usually the kind of people who were more cautious and careful. Because no matter how strong you were, sometimes when you faced some unknown dangers, it could still take your life. This kind of situation was too common. On this night, Lin Feng was resting in his room. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. His expression could not help but change slightly. This was because Lin Feng had sensed the power of the curse rapidly flying over from afar. When he sensed that power, his heart suddenly jolted. Could it be as the first princess had said? Were there really cursed creatures here? And now, those cursed creatures had appeared. The first princess and the others had extraordinary strength, so they had also sensed this situation. Then, everyone came out of their rooms. The first princess said, "The power of the curse has appeared. We won't run into those cursed creatures, right?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "It's really possible that we will run into those cursed creatures. This will be a little troublesome, but it doesn't matter. They might not be able to catch up to us." Lin Feng activated the concealment grand array of the ancient starship, Shenyuan. When the concealment grand array of the ancient starship was activated, the ancient starship immediately disappeared. Under the concealment state, the ancient starship quickly flew into the distance. The ancient starship's speed was extremely fast, but Lin Feng could sense that the power of the curse had not been shaken off. Instead, it was following closely behind. The other party had completely locked onto them. This situation caused Lin Feng's heart to sink slightly. This was because Lin Feng had several types of curses on his body. Therefore, Lin Feng was very wary of these curses. End of chapter. Chapter 5767. The feeling of being chased by the power of the curse was naturally terrible. However, since they couldn't get rid of the other party, they needed to find a way to deal with the power of the curse. Lin Feng wasn't too sure if there were many cursed creatures in the power of the curse. After all, Lin Feng hadn't seen what kind of form the power of the curse looked like. 3 days later, the power of the curse caught up to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng looked back and saw the dark brown power of the curse rolling violently in the void. It covered the sky and completely locked onto the ancient starry sky ship Shenyuan. The power of the curse was extremely strange. Lin Feng wasn't surprised that it could lock onto the ancient starry sky ship Shenyuan. After seeing the power of the curse chasing after them, the faces of the eldest princess, Qing Yu, and Lan Xing turned pale. Although they were quite strong, they didn't have as much experience as Lin Feng and the others. For example, Lin Feng and the others had crawled out of piles of corpses countless times. Facing such a situation, they could still calm down for the time being. However, the eldest princess and the others couldn't face this calmly. However, Lin Feng didn't think of a way to deal with the power of the curse for the time being. Not long after, the power of the curse enveloped the ancient starry sky ship Shenyuan. The power of the curse began to attack the ancient starry sky ship Xuanyuan's defensive restrictions. Moreover, Lin Feng and the others could hear the sound of teeth grinding coming from the power of the curse. The sound of teeth grinding was so eerie and terrifying that it made one's hair stand on end. Anyone who heard the sound of teeth grinding would feel extremely uncomfortable. "There really are cursed creatures inside," the eldest princess said. Lin Feng nodded. It seemed that the rumors in the overseas world were true. Encountering these cursed beings was indeed an extremely terrible thing. It was no wonder that there weren't many cultivators in the overseas world. Even Lin Feng wouldn't establish a force in the overseas world. Because if he encountered these terrifying existences, the force he established could be annihilated in a short period of time. At that time, he would have worked hard for nothing. Perhaps he might even lose his life in the process. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't do such a thing. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of cracking could be heard continuously. Although the defensive restrictions of the Shenyuan ancient starry skyship were very strong, these curse powers were extremely strange. Even the defensive restrictions on Shenyuan Hao's ancient starry skyship couldn't resist the corrosion of these curse powers. This made Lin Feng's expression extremely ugly. Lin Feng knew that he couldn't continue like this. If it continued like this, it would be a disaster. The situation would only get worse. Lin Feng thought for a moment. He felt that perhaps his heaven-shaking stele could be of use. At this moment, the defensive restrictions on the Shenyuan starry sky ancient ship were destroyed by the power of the curse. Then, a large amount of curse power quickly poured into the cabin. Seeing the curse energy surging in, the first princess, Qing Yu, and Lan Xing all turned pale with fright. Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint's expressions turned ugly. The current situation was indeed too dangerous. At this moment, Lin Feng hurriedly summoned the 4 heaven-shaking steles. The 4 heaven-shaking steles were divided into 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, suspended in the void. They protected Lin Feng and the other 5 inside. Then, Lin Feng activated the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. The 4 heaven-shaking steelies vibrated with extremely terrifying fluctuations. After sensing the fluctuations coming from the inside of the 4 heaven-shaking steelies, the curse power increased the speed of its invasion. Because the curse power seemed to have sensed the terror of the heaven-shaking steelies. Therefore, it wanted to destroy the heaven-shaking steelies in one fell swoop. But at this time, the heaven-shaking steelies' defensive system had been constructed. The 4 heaven-shaking steelies formed an invisible force. When that invisible force poured in, it was all blocked by the heaven-shaking steelies. No matter how the curse power invaded, it couldn't break the heaven-shaking steelies' defensive system. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng could finally breathe a sigh of relief. It was just as he had expected. The heaven-shaking steelies played an extremely important role at the crucial moment. If not, then, that would really be an extremely troublesome matter. The eldest princess, Green Jade, Lan Xing, Du Zhu, and the heretic sovereign saint all revealed a relieved expression on their faces. The situation just now was indeed too dangerous. And now, it was considered a good outcome. Of course. The cursed living being in the curse power hadn't made a move yet. If they could block the attack of the cursed living being, then they could really escape from danger. If they couldn't block the attack of the cursed living being, today was probably going to be a disaster. Everyone was very clear about this point. At this moment, black chains flew out from the curse power. Those black chains emitted an extremely demonic aura. That black chain violently whipped the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. Bang! 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 A series of violent collision sounds were heard. Those chains actually shook the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. The 4 heaven-shaking steelies couldn't help but shake violently. Lin Feng said, "Everyone, follow me and activate the 4 heaven-shaking steelies." After hearing Lin Feng's words, no one dared to have any hesitation. Powerful magic power continuously flowed into the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. When their magic power flowed into the 4 heaven-shaking steelies, 4 heaven-shaking steelies, their power suddenly increased greatly. Those chains could no longer shake the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. A gloomy voice came from the curse power. "You actually obtained 4 heaven-shaking steelies, and they are the heaven-shaking steelies with the yin and yang cycle. Amazing, amazing. Your luck is too heaven-defying. If someone told me that someone had obtained 4 heaven-shaking steelies at any other time, I definitely wouldn't believe it. But today, I saw it with my own eyes. I have to believe it even if I don't want to. But even so, it's useless. Today, all of you will die, and these heaven-shaking steelies will belong to me." As soon as he finished speaking, the chains wrapped around the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. Not long after, the 4 heaven-suppressing stone steelies were wrapped around by the chains again and again. Extremely powerful and terrifying curse power gushed out from the 4 chains. The curse power constantly rushed into the 4 heaven-shaking steelies. That cursed living being actually wanted to forcibly snatch Lin Feng's 4 heaven-shaking steelies. Chapter 5768. A sneer appeared on Lin Feng's face. This guy actually wanted to snatch the heaven-shaking steely from his hands. How was this possible? Did he really think that the curse power was omnipotent? How arrogant. In the face of the curse power's deprivation of the heaven-shaking steely's control, Lin Feng directly used the Great Fate technique. Lin Feng summoned the powerful Fate technique, and then the Fate technique continuously poured into the heaven-shaking steely. Lin Feng used the Fate technique to restrain the opponent's curse power. The curse power was indeed very terrifying, but once it was faced with the most mysterious and mighty Fate technique, it would be suppressed by the Fate technique. In addition, the heaven-shaking steely itself was Lin Feng's magic treasure. Lin Feng could also use the heaven-shaking steely to suppress the opponent's curse power. Therefore, under the combined suppression of the Fate technique and the heaven-shaking steely, the curse power was quickly refined. After noticing this situation, the cursed creature's expression suddenly became extremely gloomy. Obviously, he didn't expect such a situation to happen. Lin Feng's method was beyond his expectations, and this made his mood quite bad. However, he still had some powerful methods that he hadn't used yet. He began to chant an incantation, "Great Tao of curses, please let the cursed god descend. When the cursed god descends, all living things will be cursed." Obviously, the curse technique he used was different from ordinary curse techniques. Ordinary curse techniques were classified as offensive curse techniques, and this curse technique was more common. For example, when Lin Feng used the Great Curse technique to deal with others, a bloody hole might suddenly appear in the opponent's chest or other places. This was the ability that appeared when the Great Curse technique erupted. And this curse technique was an offensive curse technique. This was the curse technique that the cultivator had used. It would slowly turn the cursed person into a cursed creature. This was an extremely terrifying thing. And this curse technique wasn't an offensive curse technique. It was an extremely rare and special curse technique. Soon, a cursed god was formed from the surging curse power. The cursed true god was surrounded by an evil aura. It was terrifying to the extreme. Looking at the cursed true god, even Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. This guy's curse technique was really strange. Actually, Lin Feng didn't know how to use that curse technique because it was extremely rare to see someone become a cursed creature. It wasn't easy to obtain such a curse. Very soon, the cursed true god lunged at Lin Feng. The cursed true god was blocked by the defensive system formed by the heaven-shaking stone stele. But at this time, an extremely terrifying thing happened. The body of the cursed true god quickly passed through the defense system formed by the sky-shaking stele. Then, he entered the defense system. In this way, Lin Feng would have to face this terrifying cursed true god directly. It had to be said that the cursed true god's curse technique was really strange. Seeing that the cursed true god had successfully entered the defense system formed by the sky-shaking stele, the cursed true god let out a sinister laugh. That laughter was filled with a sense of satisfaction. And at this time, the cursed true god flew directly towards Lin Feng. He wanted to enter Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically, but it was too late to dodge. The cursed true god rushed into Lin Feng's body. But then, the cursed true god let out a terrified cry. "You have so many terrifying curses in your body." Then, the cursed true god tried to escape from Lin Feng's body as quickly as possible. But he didn't succeed at all. He was instantly devoured by the powerful curses in Lin Feng's body. The cursed true god's curse technique hidden in the power of the curse couldn't help but change his expression drastically. He didn't expect Lin Feng to have so many terrifying curses in his body. Because the curses in Lin Feng's body had formed a relatively balanced state at this moment, restraining each other, these curses didn't explode. But if these curses were to explode, it would be extremely fatal. For example, when Lin Feng was entangled by the human skin curse. It was too dangerous at that time. He almost died. And the rest of the curses. It was the same. Now that the curses in his body had devoured the cursed true god, Lin Feng suddenly felt the power of the curses in his body become restless. This shocked Lin Feng. In fact, Lin Feng knew that if he wanted to dispel the curses in his body now, he would need to undergo the bloodline 10th transformation. Only then would he be able to dispel these curses. If he wanted to use other methods to dispel these curses, it would be very difficult. He felt that the power of the curses in his body seemed to be awakening. Lin Feng hurriedly activated his bloodline to suppress the power of the curses. The reason why Lin Feng used his bloodline to suppress the power of the curses was that after Lin Feng knew that the bloodline 10th transformation could dispel the curses, he guessed that the bloodline could suppress the curses. He tried it later and it was indeed effective. After the curses were suppressed, Lin Feng quickly controlled the 4 heaven-shaking stone tablets and charged towards the cursed being in the power of the curses. Because Lin Feng now realized that the curses in his body were very terrifying, they could devour all kinds of curses. Unless it was a curse of the same level as those curses, it couldn't be devoured. If it wasn't a curse of the same level, it was destined to be devoured by the curse in Lin Feng's body. And the curse in Lin Feng's body could be suppressed by Lin Feng's bloodline. So, Lin Feng felt that he could completely kill this cursed being now. If he was hit by its curse, the curses in his body would help him deal with the opponent's attack. If the curse in his body was awakened, he would activate his bloodline power to suppress it. In that case, Lin Feng naturally didn't have to worry about this cursed being. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to seize this opportunity to kill this cursed being. The 4 heaven-shaking stone tablets under Lin Feng's control unleashed their power and quickly broke the power of the curses, then locked onto the cursed being hidden in the power of the curses. And at this moment, Lin Feng finally saw what the cursed being looked like. The cursed being had a crocodile's body, a dragon's head, a scorpion's tail, and a pair of huge wings. Other than that, it also had 8 huge arms. He didn't know what race it was. End of chapter. Chapter 5769. Lin Feng didn't care about the race of the cursed creature. Lin Feng only cared about whether he could kill the cursed creature. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. There was nothing much to say to the cursed creature. The 4 sky-shaking stone steelies flew toward the cursed creature. The cursed creature's face darkened when it saw the 4 sky-shaking stone steelies flying toward it. Everything that had happened so far had exceeded his expectations. It thought that it could control everything. But it didn't expect that it would end up like this. It couldn't accept it. It was infuriated. Facing the attack of the sky-shaking stone steelies, it slapped out 4 times in a row and formed 4 energy handprints in the void. The 4 energy handprints blasted toward the sky-shaking stone steelies. Along with the sound of the 4 violent collisions, the 4 energy handprints and the 4 sky-shaking stone steelies collided with each other. The void trembled violently, the energy waves from the collision between the 2 sides. It made people turn pale with fright. Lin Feng knew that the cursed creature was very powerful. It wouldn't be easy to kill this guy. But Lin Feng hadn't shown all his skills yet. In addition to the 4 sky-shaking stone steelies, Lin Feng still had 5 ancient weapon-level treasures. Lin Feng summoned the 5 ancient weapon-level treasures. 5 ancient weapon-level treasures. They were activated by Lin Feng. The yin-yang stone steelies fused together and formed a yin-yang cycle. When the yin-yang cycle was formed, the power of the sky-shaking stone steelies increased greatly. Lin Feng's treasures unleashed extremely powerful combat power. The 5 ancient weapons, in addition to the 4 heaven-shaking stone tablets that had fused together, had completely suppressed the cursed creature. Lin Feng wanted to kill the cursed creature in one go. But the cursed creature was very powerful. A cursed doppelganger flew out of its body. The cursed doppelganger was very powerful. It held back Lin Feng's treasures while its original body fled into the distance. When Lin Feng saw that, he couldn't help but frown. It was too late to chase after it now. The cursed doppelganger was killed by Lin Feng. However, the true body of the cursed being managed to escape. It wasn't satisfied with the result. But Lin Feng knew that the curses in his body could devour the cursed creature's curse attack. It was a good gain. The eldest princess and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the cursed creature escape. The great princess looked at Lin Feng. She hadn't thought Lin Feng would be so strong. Lin Feng was full of mysteries. But some things the eldest princess couldn't ask him now. After all, it would be too abrupt to ask Lin Feng about some private matters. This might make them estranged. The eldest princess was a woman after all. Women think more. In fact, if she really asked Lin Feng something, if there was anything he could tell her, Lin Feng would tell her. Lin Feng didn't care much about these things. Lin Feng put away the magic treasure and said, "That guy has already escaped. We are safe for the time being. However, these cursed creatures are very vengeful. So, I suspect that he will find some powerful cursed creatures to deal with us in the future. However, as long as we are careful, there shouldn't be any problems." The eldest princess and the others nodded. Then everyone returned to their rooms to rest. About 5 days later, an island appeared in front of them. The island was quite large. There was actually an ancient city on the island. After seeing the ancient city, Lin Feng's face revealed an extremely surprised expression. An ancient city had actually appeared on the island. Could it be that the ancient city was a place where cultivators gathered? Thus, Lin Feng and the others stepped onto the island. They entered the ancient city. Then, They realized that there were indeed many people entering and exiting the ancient city. When they saw Lin Feng's group of 6 arrive, many people's eyes flickered. They probably felt that Lin Feng and the others were relatively young. In addition, the eldest princess, Qing Yu, and Lan Xing were too exquisite. Naturally, many people had evil thoughts. If a woman was beautiful, it would be easy for her to become the target of others. The eldest princess said, "I've never heard of such an ancient city in the overseas world. It's really strange." Lin Feng said, "This ancient city is formed from a powerful magic treasure. Ordinary people might not be able to tell, but Lin Feng could indeed sense the uniqueness of this ancient city. Therefore, he was sure that it was formed from a powerful magic treasure. Since it was formed from a magic treasure, it could be put away or used at will. Therefore, no matter where one appeared, they could summon this ancient city. That was why such an ancient city had appeared in this place." After hearing Lin Feng's words, the eldest princess and the others immediately revealed shocked expressions. The eldest princess said, "No wonder an ancient city appeared here. It's a magic treasure. If it were a magic treasure, it would be convenient to carry around." At that moment, Du Zhu could not help but feel puzzled. "There are quite a few cultivators here. What are they doing here?" Lin Feng said, "Let's find someone and ask." Then, Lin Feng and the others found someone to ask for information. They really did find some information. The owner of this ancient city was called True Lord Tian Xiong. It was said that he was formed from a celestial phenomenon. This person was very powerful. He was not a cultivator from the dragon realm, but a cultivator from the outside world. However, he had a good relationship with many experts from the dragon realm. This time, he came to the overseas world. It was because he brought a few strands of blue-silver grass and wanted to exchange something with others. When he heard about the blue-silver grass, Lin Feng immediately revealed a shocked expression. This was because the blue-silver grass was a good thing. It was said that the blue-silver grass could help cultivators form a new primordial spirit. No wonder so many people came here. It seemed that they all had their eyes on the blue-silver grass. Lin Feng's interest was piqued when he heard that. Right now, Lin Feng had 1 main primordial spirit and 5 auxiliary primordial spirits. In addition to the 1 spirit into 3 pure ones, he could at most do 18 things at once. If he could cultivate another auxiliary primordial spirit, then not only would his soul power increase greatly, but his soul power would also increase greatly. At that time, he would be able to do 21 things at once. His battle strength would also increase greatly. Chapter 5770. The matter of exchanging for blue-silver grass could not be rushed. Because Tian Xiong was in seclusion recently, if he wanted to exchange for blue-silver grass, he would have to wait until Tian Xiong came out. No one knew what true monarch Tian Xiong needed. The cultivators who had arrived were scattered all over the place, and they were all discussing the matter. There were many places to stay here, so everyone could stay here. However, if they wanted to stay here, they had to pay a certain amount of high-grade immortal stones to Tian Xiong. This was something that could not be blamed. Tian Xiong had many disciples patrolling around, so if they wanted to stay here, they had to ask them. The eldest princess said, "Blue-silver grass is extremely rare. I've only seen pictures of it in Daoist scriptures, but I've never seen a real blue-silver grass. Since Tian Xiong is willing to take it out, I wonder what he wants to exchange it for." Lin Feng said, "Blue-silver grass is so precious, but Tian Xiong is willing to take it out. It can be seen that the thing he wants to exchange for must be incomparably precious. When the time comes, let's see if we can take out what he needs." The eldest princess and the others nodded. In fact, it wasn't just Lin Feng who wanted blue-silver grass. The eldest princess and the others also wanted blue-silver grass. If they could obtain blue-silver grass, they would be able to cultivate a new primordial spirit. This was an extremely important matter for everyone. Lin Feng and the others found a disciple of Tian Xiong. Then, they told him that their group wanted to stay here. The disciple brought Lin Feng and the others to a courtyard. Lin Feng and the others paid 600 immortal stones. Then, they stayed here. They waited for Tian Xiong to come out. In the next few days, Lin Feng did not go out. Recently, he had been refining the 33-layered heavens that he had obtained from the Heavenly Emperor. The 33-layered heavens had not been completely condensed, and was still considered an imperfect 33-layered heavens. The main reason was that the 33-layered heavens had not been successfully condensed. But even if it was not successfully condensed, the 33-layered heavens was still an extremely extraordinary treasure. Lin Feng was only at the initial stage of refining the 33-layered heavens. But he still had no way to control the 33-layered heavens. If he could control the 33-layered heavens, then Lin Feng would be able to use the power of the 33-layered heavens to fight against his enemies. The 33-layered heavens could greatly increase his fighting strength, just like using the ruler's armor, golden dwarf, holy bone, and other things. But it was imaginable. If he could draw on the power of the 33 levels of heaven, it would definitely be more effective than using the Sovereign Lord's armor, the golden imp, or the sage bone. After all, the 33 heavens was a supreme treasure that the Heavenly Emperor. Among the 33-layered heavens, the first 32-layered heavens had formed to. All kinds of vegetation grew there. The Heavenly Emperor had also planted many spirit fields, spirit herbs, and so on. The dragon tooth rice that the Heaven Emperor planted inside. If he used dragon tooth rice as his main source of food, his cultivation would increase very quickly. The Celestial Emperor also raised many spirit beasts inside. B2222. There were also various spirit stone veins, immortal stone veins, and so on. The current 33-layered heavens was too extraordinary. But it was not easy for Lin Feng to refine the 33-layered heavens into a real small world. He still lacked some top-grade materials. Previously, the Heavenly Emperor wanted to use the main trunk of the Builder Tree to refine the 33-layered heavens. However, it was too difficult to get the main trunk of the Builder Tree. What Lin Feng needed to do now was to control the 33-layered heavens. Then, he would be able to mobilize the power inside. Then, he would look for the main trunk of the Builder Tree to guard the inside of the 33-layered heavens. Lin Feng was extremely puzzled that he could not mobilize the power of the 33-layered heavens. He felt that it should not be like this. Lin Feng thought for a long time. He guessed. Perhaps he needed something to be able to establish a close connection with the 33-layered heavens. Only then could he mobilize the power of the 33-layered heavens. After waiting for about 10 days, Lin Feng and the others heard the sound of gongs and drums, resounding through the world. When they heard the sound of gongs and drums, Lin Feng and the others came out of seclusion one after another. Because Lin Feng guessed that Tian Xiong had come out of seclusion, Lin Feng and the others left their residence. They walked towards the depths. In the plaza outside Tian Xiong's mansion, a large number of cultivators had gathered. Many of Tian Xiong's disciples were maintaining order in the surroundings. There should be as many as 2,000 to 3,000 cultivators here. This was because there were fewer people in the overseas world. The cultivators who dared to come to the overseas world were all very powerful. Therefore, those who came here were all experts. So many people. They were all eyeing the blue-silver grass covetously. It was simply too many wolves and not enough meat. When will Tian Xiong come out? At this time, someone asked. One of Tian Xiong's disciples said, "Senior, don't be anxious. Our master will come out soon." The cultivator nodded. Many of the surrounding cultivators were privately discussing some of the things that Tian Xiong might want. Not long after, Tian Xiong walked out. Tian Xiong was a middle-aged cultivator. He was 3 meters tall and exuded blood qi. His cultivation was extremely terrifying. After seeing this person, Lin Feng's face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. This was because Lin Feng actually felt the Dracophant bloodline in his body. Could this Tian Xiong be a descendant of the Dracophant bloodline? This was something that was highly possible. To be honest, this person was quite related to Lin Feng. After all, Lin Feng cultivated the immemorial Dracophant art. Moreover, the Dracophant Supreme of the Primordial era was an in-name disciple of Lin Feng's ancestor, Ji Zishu. And Tian Xiong was a descendant of the Dracophant bloodline. Therefore, the two of them were inextricably linked. However, so many years had passed. There was no use in talking about these relationships now. Tian Xiong cupped his fists and said, "I'm really sorry to have made everyone wait for so long." "You don't have to be so polite," daoist Tian Xiong. Many people said. Then, someone asked, "Daoist Tian Xiong, what do you want to exchange your blue-silver grass for?" Tian Xiong smiled and said, "It's like this. I want to exchange my blue-silver grass for something related to the Primordial Dracophant clan." Many people's faces revealed astonishment, but then they frowned. The Primordial Dracophants were very mysterious. In the past, the Primordial Dracophants were relatively few in number. Therefore, in this world, the items left behind by the Primordial Dracophants were very rare. But now, Tian Xiong wanted to exchange for something related to the Primordial Dracophants. Naturally, no one could take it out. Chapter 5771. Lin Feng had something related to the Primordial Dragonesque Elephant, and that was his Primordial Dragonesque Elephant technique. But Lin Feng would never give his Primordial Dragonesque Elephant technique to him. Because the Primordial Dragonesque Elephant technique was the foundation of Lin Feng's cultivation. It was very important to Lin Feng. How could he give the Primordial Dragonesque Elephant technique to others? Other than the Primordial Dragonesque Elephant technique, Lin Feng really didn't know what else he could exchange with him. Someone said, "Tian Xiong, there aren't many Primordial Dragonesque elephants, and the things left behind by the Primordial Dragonesque elephants are too rare. What else are you interested in? We can use other things to exchange with you." Tian Xiong said, "I don't lack anything else, I just want something related to the Primordial Dragonesque elephant. If everyone doesn't have this kind of thing, then I'm afraid there's no way to continue this transaction." After hearing these words, everyone was disappointed. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Lin Feng really wanted to exchange with him. But Lin Feng had no choice now. But at this moment, a violent fluctuation suddenly came from the demon orb. In the depths of the demon orb, it let out a low roar. It was the sound of the Primordial Dragonesque elephant inside the demon orb. That Primordial Dragonesque elephant was rather special. At first, Lin Feng thought that he should be an Primordial Dragonesque elephant trapped inside the demon space. But later on, Lin Feng discovered that he wasn't a real creature. But he wasn't a weapon spirit either. Lin Feng felt that he was like a Primordial Dragonesque elephant formed from obsession. Lin Feng was able to obtain the inheritance of the Primordial Dragonesque elephant technique back then. It was because this Primordial Dragonesque elephant formed from obsession had imparted the Primordial Dragonesque elephant technique to him. Lin Feng wanted to communicate with him many times. But he didn't succeed. This time, this Primordial Dragonesque elephant formed from obsession roared. Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but move slightly. His divine will communicated with this Primordial Dragonesque elephant formed from obsession. In an instant, a lot of information appeared in Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng checked the information. Lin Feng discovered that the information was actually a powerful cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was called the Indestructible Dragon Elephant Art. The Dragon Elephant Immortal Art was a powerful art created by the immemorial Dragon Elephant clan. This kind of technique was very special. Only cultivators with the Dragon Elephant bloodline could cultivate it. Could it be that this Archean Dragonesque elephant had sensed that Tian Xiong possessed the Archean Dragonesque elephant bloodline, so it imparted this technique to him and asked him to pass it on to him? Lin Feng felt that there was still a possibility. He looked at Tian Phenomenon and said, "I have a law here called the Indestructible Dragon Elephant Art. How about I trade it for your blue-silver grass?" "What? Do you have the Indestructible Dragon Elephant Art?" Tian Xiong's pupils constricted. He looked at Lin Feng excitedly and said, "Little brother, is what you said true?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Of course it's true." Following which, Lin Feng took out a jade tube. Then, he imprinted the Indestructible Dragon Elephant Art in it. Lin Feng handed the jade tube to Tian Xiong. Tian Xiong hurriedly used his divine sense to check it. He found that there was no problem with the technique inside. His face immediately revealed a look of ecstasy. As a descendant of the immemorial Dragonesque elephant, He naturally knew how precious the indestructible dragon elephant art was. However, the indestructible dragon elephant art had been lost for a long time. Let's not talk about him. Even his ancestors had not cultivated the indestructible dragon elephant art. This had always been the regret of his lineage. Because it was said that only by cultivating the indestructible dragon elephant art, only then would their lineage strength be completely unleashed. Only then would their potential be fully displayed. But now, he had actually obtained the indestructible dragon elephant art. Tian Xiong's heart. He was extremely excited. He said, "Little brother, how about we go to the mansion and talk in detail?" Lin Feng nodded. Then, Tian Xiong looked at the others and said, "Everyone, I will be leaving soon, so please leave the ancient city for the time being." This time, everyone had come to trade with Tian Xiong. Now that they saw that Tian Xiong wanted to trade with Lin Feng. Moreover, they did not have what Tian Xiong needed. Continuing to stay here. There was no point in staying. Then we will take our leave. Many cultivators cupped their fists and said. Then, they left one after another. Lin Feng's group of 6 followed Tian Xiong into the mansion. After arriving at the main hall, both sides sat down. Tian Xiong took out a white jade box and handed it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng opened the white jade box and saw that there was a sparkling and translucent Ling Qi grass inside. This spirit grass should be the blue-silver grass. With the blue-silver grass, he could cultivate his 6th primordial spirit. Just thinking about it made him extremely excited. Lin Feng put away the white jade box. Tian Xiong looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Little brother, how should I address you?" Lin Feng. So it's Brother Lin. Tian Xiong was extremely enthusiastic. It was definitely a pleasant surprise that Tian Xiong had obtained the indestructible dragon elephant art. Therefore, Tian Xiong was extremely grateful to Lin Feng. If it hadn't been for Lin Feng, the indestructible dragon elephant art might have disappeared from the annals of history. True Lord Tian Phenomenon asked, "May I know how Brother Lin obtained this technique?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I obtained it by chance. I also discovered that cultivators from other races are unable to cultivate this art. I believe that Tian Xiong must have the bloodline of the immemorial dragonesque elephant, right? Therefore, you should be able to cultivate this art." Tian Xiong nodded and said, "That's right, I do have the bloodline of the immemorial dragonesque elephant. The indestructible dragon elephant art is a top-grade art passed down in my race. Because the bloodline of our race is very thin, it has been a long time since anyone has awakened this kind of cultivation technique. This law has been lost in my race for a long time. It's really a pleasant surprise to be able to obtain this art. I see that little brother has a deep relationship with the immemorial dragonesque elephant. After a while, our race will go to the place where the dragonesque elephant sovereign died. At that time, we might be able to obtain endless benefits. If little brother is interested, you can come with us." Lin Feng had always thought that the dragonesque elephant sovereign who had followed his ancestor, Ji Zishu, had not died. However, from Tian Xiong's words, it was very likely that the dragonesque elephant sovereign had died. This made Lin Feng's heart sink. End of chapter. Chapter 5772. Actually, Lin Feng still couldn't accept the fact that Sovereign Dracophant had died. Lin Feng asked, "Is Sovereign Dracophant really dead?" According to the information we've gathered, Sovereign Dracophant has indeed died. However, it's hard to say. After all, we haven't seen his corpse yet, so we'll have to go and investigate. Tian Xiong said. Lin Feng asked, "Then when will you go and investigate the place where Sovereign Dracophant died?" Tian Xiong replied, "Yes, there should still be some time. We still need to make some preparations." Lin Feng nodded, "All right, I'll go with you then." "How will I find you then?" Tian Xiong said, "You can find me at Celestial Phenomenon. It's not that far from the Dragon World. This is a map of Celestial Phenomenon. You can follow it to Celestial Phenomenon when you arrive." Tian Xiong handed the jade tube with the map to Lin Feng. Lin Feng put it away. Lin Feng said, "All right, we'll meet again at Celestial Phenomenon. Then I'll be waiting for you, Brother Lin." Tian Xiong smiled. After chatting for a while, Lin Feng bid farewell and left. After Lin Feng and the others left, the ancient city soared into the sky and quickly left the dragon world. The ancient ship Shenyuan continued to fly above the sea. Lin Feng began to refine the blue-silver grass. The blue-silver grass was indeed very powerful, and it helped Lin Feng condense his sixth auxiliary primordial spirit. Lin Feng now had one main primordial spirit and 6 auxiliary primordial spirits. This was too important for him. This was an all-around improvement. Another 10 days passed. Lin Feng and the others finally arrived at the True Dragon Secret Territory. From afar, the True Dragon Secret Territory was faintly discernible. They could see it. It was a huge world. The True Dragon Mystery Plane was a mysterious world that was parallel to the Dragon World. However, this mysterious world could not be manifested at all times. It would only manifest once every few years. After seeing the True Dragon Secret Domain, Lin Feng's expression couldn't help but slightly change. A place like the True Dragon Secret Domain was equivalent to a minor world. If one could refine such a minor world, then it would be amazing. He wondered if there was someone who had such an opportunity. Many cultivators had gathered outside the True Dragon mystical ground. Among these cultivators, there were cultivators from the Dragon Clan, foreign cultivators, and cultivators from other clans. It seemed that the True Dragon Mystery Realm had opened. Indeed, it attracted a lot of people. After all, the True Dragon Secret Plane was simply too extraordinary. Everyone wanted to find some great opportunities in the True Dragon Secret Plane. If he could find the opportunity in the True Dragon Secret Realm, in that case, it would definitely be of great benefit to his cultivation. If he wanted to enter the True Dragon Secret Realm, he would have to wait until the True Dragon Secret Realm had completely transformed into a real world. Right at this moment, Lin Feng saw an acquaintance. His face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. Lin Feng was looking at Xie because that person was Xie. Lin Feng really didn't expect to see Xie in this place. This person was an extremely terrifying existence. He was the son of the evil ancestor. His cultivation was unfathomable. Previously, when the battle broke out in the Undying World, he still thought that if he could find him, he would definitely kill him. Because this person was too much of a threat. And too heaven-defying. However, he didn't appear during the Battle of the Undying World. After the Battle of the Undying World, Lin Feng didn't find Xie when he was clearing out the remaining forces. Obviously, Xie saw that the situation in the Undying World wasn't good. He fled without a trace. But now, he actually saw Xie in the Dragon World. Xie was as powerful as ever. His body was between illusion and reality, and then constantly switching between the two states. He didn't know what kind of method this was. Back then, this person was a cultivator who walked out of the God's Stone. A character like him had countless powerful methods in his grasp. He definitely couldn't be underestimated. Whoever dared to underestimate a character like him would only have a dead end. Right at this moment, in the void, a dazzling sword chi flew out. That sword chi directly slashed towards Xie. The power of that sword chi was truly terrifying to the extreme. Even the void was split open. The person who attacked was definitely a powerful figure. That sword chi instantly arrived in front of Xie. Xie's body became illusory at this moment. That sword chi slashed on Xie's body, but Xie's body just happened to be an illusory body. The sword chi passed through his body. It didn't cause any harm to Xie. After seeing this scene, many people were very surprised. This method was really too powerful. Many people began to pay attention to this battle. At this moment, a cultivator walked out of the void. This cultivator emitted an extremely cold aura. He carried a scabbard on his back and held a treasure sword in his hand. This cultivator's aura was very young. However, his strength was incomparably terrifying. Many people were shocked. Such a young cultivator's cultivation was so powerful that it made people tremble in fear. Who are they? At this moment, someone asked. Many people could sense their powerful cultivation. This was what surprised the surrounding cultivators. Someone said, The cultivator with the sword is a cultivator from the Sky Sword clan of the Epoch era. This person is called Meng Qianjue. He's an extremely terrifying existence. It's said that his sword skills are unparalleled. The other cultivator is also said to be an extremely terrifying figure. He seems to be the son of the evil ancestor. These two are extremely young. In the future, they will become extremely powerful experts. It's even possible for them to break through to a higher realm. I didn't expect that the two of them would have a conflict. This is really a confrontation between two sides. After hearing the cultivator's introduction, many people were very surprised. It was just as the cultivator had said. These two people were really not simple. These two figures would definitely become overlord-level existences in the future. Now, it seemed that the grudge between the two of them wasn't small. Meng Qianjue, are you in such a hurry to die? Xiezi looked indifferently at the cultivator from the Epoch Lost race. The corners of his mouth were curled up in a mocking smile. Lin Feng knew Xiezi quite well. This person was extremely arrogant. He didn't put anyone in his eyes. Therefore, it was normal for him to look down on the cultivator from the Epoch Era's clan. This was also in line with his personality. End of chapter. Chapter 5773. Xiezi. I have to say, you're still as arrogant as ever. I really don't know how you developed such a self-righteous personality. Meng Qianyu's face was filled with a sneer. He was also an extremely powerful existence. Naturally, he wouldn't admit that he was inferior to Xiezi. Being looked down upon by Xiezi in such a manner, he was also extremely furious. His gaze towards Xiezi was filled with deep killing intent. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel puzzled. Why were the two of them so hostile? It was as if there was a deep hatred between them. However, it wasn't a bad thing for them to fight. There was a saying, when a dog bites another dog, it'll be a mouthful of fur. In Lin Feng's opinion, if the two of them fought, it would be like a dog biting another dog. It would be best if both of them suffered great losses. When the time came, he would take advantage of the opportunity to deal with these two. Xiezi and Meng Qianyu, one was Lin Feng's great enemy, while the other was a cultivator from the Epoch Lost race. Neither of them were good people. Killing them would be a blessing to the world. That's because I'm strong. Naturally, I have the ability to look down on you. Xiezi looked at Meng Qianyu with a sneer. The arrogant expression on his face was indeed infuriating. Some people had heard of Xiezi's character. They knew that he was arrogant, but it wasn't until today that they realized how arrogant Xiezi was. The reason why they had heard of Xiezi's name was because Xiezi was in the starry sky world where the Dragon Realm was located. He had made a name for himself in the starry sky world. Although Xiezi was extremely arrogant, he did have the strength to back it up. He didn't just have a powerful bloodline. Apart from that, he also had some top-notch treasures, some top-notch divine abilities, and some unimaginable concealment methods. Xiezi was young, but basically, no one dared to provoke him. Meng Qianyu said coldly. Then, let me experience your ultimate technique. After saying that, Meng Qianyu slashed his sword at Xiezi. When Meng Qianyu slashed with his sword, endless sword qi condensed in the void. The sword qi turned the entire world into a sea of swords. After seeing the endless sword qi, even Lin Feng was very surprised. The sword qi contained an extremely strong willpower, and that willpower gave the sword qi a terrifying power. There were so many sword qi. If they were to attack together, the power they could unleash would be unimaginable. Right now, those sword qi quickly slashed towards Xiezi. Insignificant skill. Xiezi's face was filled with a sneer. In the face of the endless sword qi, Xiezi put his palms together, and then a huge energy shield formed outside his body. The energy shield was a defensive shield made of golden energy. He didn't know what kind of energy that golden energy was. The defensive light shield formed by the energy was extremely powerful. Clanging sounds of collisions rang out one after another. The sword qis all slashed at the defensive light barrier. All the sword qi was blocked by the golden defensive light shield. After seeing this scene, everyone's face revealed an extremely shocked expression. Meng Qianyu's attack was so powerful, but it couldn't break the defensive light shield condensed by Xie. The defensive light shield condensed by Xie was too powerful. It was really unbelievable. This was the reason why Xie was so arrogant and domineering. He was really too strong. After blocking Meng Qianyu's attack, Xie sneered and said, "I've already said that your skill is just insignificant skill. How about it? Now you know that I'm right, right? I didn't lower myself to your level because of your family. Otherwise, you'd have died countless times already. Now, get the hell out of my way, or I'll kill you." Xie really didn't take Meng Qianyu seriously. What he said just now was equivalent to slapping Meng Qianyu in the face in front of so many people. How could Meng Qianyu accept such humiliation? His expression became extremely unsightly. Everyone thought that Meng Qianyu would launch a more powerful attack to deal with Xie. However, to everyone's surprise, Meng Qianyu didn't make a move. Instead, she said coldly, "Xie, you're too arrogant. However, I don't intend to fight you to the death now. After the True Dragon Secret Territory opens, I'll kill you in the True Dragon Secret Territory." Seeing Meng Qianyu choose to take a step back, this was something that no one expected. Could it be that Meng Qianyu was really afraid of Xie? That was really possible. After all, Xie was really too terrifying. However, Lin Feng felt that Meng Qianyu wasn't afraid of Xie. He should have his own plans. However, he wasn't sure what his plans were. Meng Qianyu flew into the distance and soon disappeared without a trace. Xie looked indifferently at the departing Meng Qianyu. He had his hands behind his back, like a god patrolling the heavens. It made people have an impulse to worship him. Many people were talking about the grudge between Meng Qianyu and Xie. Not long after, Lin Feng heard a story. It was said that the grudge between the two of them was because Xie had stolen an opportunity from Meng Qianyu a few years ago. Because of that, Meng Qianyu hated him. After that, the two of them fought many times, but the outcome was always a draw. Therefore, Xie's words of disdain for Meng Qianyu were actually very exaggerated. After all, Meng Qianyu wasn't a simple person. If Meng Qianyu was really an ordinary person, Xie would have killed her long ago. Duzu said, "That's Xie. His cultivation is getting stronger and stronger. He's much stronger than when he was in the Undying World." Lin Feng nodded. "That person's luck is incredible. He can increase his cultivation level, so I don't think it's strange," said Lin Feng. The first princess asked in surprise, "Do you know him?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Of course I know him. In fact, he's a great enemy of mine. Back then, I wanted to kill him. However, he managed to escape. I didn't expect to see him here." After hearing Lin Feng's words, the first princess, Qingyu, and Lanxing were extremely shocked. This was because some of the information that Lin Feng revealed was too shocking. For example, Lin Feng seemed to have the strength to kill Xie. This sounded a little inconceivable. However, when they thought of the terrifying battle prowess that Lin Feng had displayed, as well as the top-grade magic treasures that he had, they all felt that it was impossible. The first princess, Qingyu, and Lanxing really believed that Lin Feng had the ability to kill Xie. Chapter 5774. However, Lin Feng didn't plan to attack Xie yet because it wasn't the right time to fight to the death with Xie. After all, there were so many cultivators guarding this place outside. If he really fought to the death with Xie, even if he could kill Xie, he would probably lose a lot of energy. At that time, it was very likely that he would be schemed against by some people. This wasn't the result that Lin Feng wanted to see. And there was one more thing. Meng Qianyu obviously wouldn't give up. He and Xie would definitely have a peak battle. Since the two of them would have a peak battle, why should he make a move now? If Meng Qianyu could kill Xie, that would be the best. This was the result that Lin Feng wanted to see the most. If Meng Qianyu couldn't kill Xie, at that time, it wouldn't be too late for him to make a move and kill Xie. Therefore, Lin Feng planned to continue waiting for a while longer. In the next few days, more and more cultivators came to this place. The True Dragon Secret Realm was also becoming more and more real. Many people were waiting anxiously and couldn't wait to enter the true dragon's secret realm to look for opportunities to break through their cultivation. Lin Feng was a little nervous at this moment. After all, Lin Feng was going to look for opportunities to break through to the Saint Realm. To break through to the Saint Realm. That was an extremely difficult thing. Especially for cultivators like Lin Feng who had accumulated a lot of energy. To break through to the Saint Realm. That would be even more difficult. Therefore, Lin Feng was actually a little worried now. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to find such a powerful opportunity. If he couldn't find such a powerful opportunity here, then it would be even more difficult to find an opportunity to break through to the Sage Realm in other places. However, Lin Feng could only take one step at a time. After the true dragon's secret realm opened. After searching for a while. Only then would he know if he could find such a powerful opportunity. On this night, endless curse power suddenly surged out from outside the true dragon's secret realm. After seeing the curse power, Lin Feng's face revealed an extremely shocked expression. There should be a lot of cursed creatures coming to this place. Cultivators from various major forces. When he saw the curse power, he immediately became vigilant. They naturally knew how dangerous the overseas world was. Cursed beings were one of the most terrifying existences. If he encountered these cursed beings, he had to be careful. This was because the strength of these cursed beings was extremely terrifying. Other than these cursed creatures, there were also those foreign insectoids that were extremely terrifying existences. However, it seemed like those insectoids hadn't arrived yet. After the cursed beings arrived, they did not attack these cultivators. After all, there were simply too many cultivators here. If they really wanted to launch an attack, this battle didn't bring them much benefit. Lin Feng guessed that these cursed beings might also want to enter the true dragon's secret realm to search for opportunities. Lin Feng felt a cold aura locking onto him. His heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. This aura was very familiar. Following this aura, he discovered that the cursed being that he defeated before had also come here and discovered him. Lin Feng's face instantly revealed a cold smile. He wasn't afraid of these cursed beings now. Therefore, even if these cursed beings came to deal with him, Lin Feng wasn't worried. Of course, if there were more of them, Lin Feng might not be a match for them. However, Lin Feng's methods were powerful. Even if he wasn't a match for them, it wouldn't be difficult to successfully shake them off. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that even if these cursed beings knew each other. However, it wasn't easy to ask the other party to help deal with some people. They would have to pay a price. If the price was relatively high, they probably wouldn't ask too many people to help. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't have to be so worried about some things. Lin Feng really wanted to capture a few cursed beings. Then, he would study these cursed beings. He would find out what kind of existence cursed them. Time continued to pass slowly. About 3 days had passed. The true dragon's secret territory had become extremely real, but it still hadn't fully revealed itself. Everyone still had to wait patiently. However, many people were already extremely excited. This was because the true dragon's secret territory was about to open. It definitely wouldn't take more than 3 days. The eldest princess said, "Lin Gongzi, we came to the true dragon's secret territory this time because I obtained an ancient map. This ancient map marked a place, and I plan to go there to take a look. Perhaps there will be some opportunities there. Lin Gongzi, do you plan to go there with us to take a look? Or do you want to go look for other opportunities?" Lin Feng said, "Of course I'll send you to that place safely. This place is so dangerous. If I don't go with you, I'll be extremely worried." It had to be said. Lin Feng was really good at flirting with girls. His words caused the eldest princess's face to turn red, and her heart to beat faster. The eldest princess wasn't a superficial person. The eldest princess was very capable, and she was also very powerful. Ordinary people couldn't even enter the eldest princess's eyes. However, as the eldest princess interacted more and more with Lin Feng, she realized that Lin Feng wasn't a simple person. Moreover, Lin Feng's strength was so terrifying. On top of that, Lin Feng was so young and handsome. He also cared about people. From time to time, the eldest princess would be flirted with by Lin Feng. The eldest princess was a normal woman, and since she was a normal woman, she had the needs of a normal woman. The eldest princess had also been in love when she was young. It was just that she hadn't met her Prince Charming. Therefore, the eldest princess couldn't resist Lin Feng's flirting. She tried her best to make herself look normal, then said, when the time comes, Lin Gongzi might be able to find some opportunities that are useful to him. Lin Feng nodded. After another day, the true dragon secret territory finally revealed itself completely. Everyone could enter the true dragon secret territory now. A large number of cultivators quickly flew towards the true dragon secret territory. Lin Feng originally thought that the cursed being would attack him, but it didn't. Instead, it quickly entered the true dragon secret territory, which surprised Lin Feng. Lin Feng and the others flew out of the Shenyuan ancient starship. Then, Lin Feng put the Shenyuan ancient starship away. The 6 of them didn't stop and quickly flew towards the true dragon secret territory. End of chapter. Chapter 5775. After entering the true dragon secret realm, Lin Feng and the others quickly flew towards the depths. Not long after, in the forest in front of them, dozens of cultivators were fighting each other. They were locked in battle. Those cultivators seemed to have found some treasure and were fighting over it. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. After all, they had just entered the true dragon secret realm not long ago. Then these people actually fought over the treasure. There were really many treasures here. However, Lin Feng and the others did not pay attention to the cultivators fighting. In the next few days, Lin Feng and the others found that the true dragon secret realm was completely chaotic. The cultivators who entered fought each other for the various resources they could obtain. Many people died tragically because of this. There were too many situations like this. On the way, Lin Feng and the first princess chatted about the true dragon secret realm. Lin Feng understood from the first princess. This true dragon secret realm was not simple. It was not as simple as a secret realm. Back then, when a great world was shattered, the second true dragon emperor collected some of the core areas of those shattered great worlds. He refined them into the true dragon secret realm. So, the true dragon secret realm was too extraordinary. And there were many secrets hidden in this secret realm. This was also the main reason why the true dragon secret realm could attract so many people. Because there were more cultivators entering the true dragon secret realm. All kinds of news spread. For example, Lin Feng and the others heard news about the Heaven Realm's Heaven Generals. It was said that a few Heaven Generals from the Heaven Realm came to the true dragon secret realm. This news attracted Lin Feng's attention. Because Lin Feng had some understanding of the Heaven Realm's forces. There were a total of 36 Heaven Generals in the Heaven Realm. In other words, the 36 Heaven Generals. The 36 Heaven Generals were the trusted aides of the 33 Heaven Masters. They were very powerful. The 36 Heaven Generals usually would not leave the Heaven Realm. But now that they had left the Heaven Realm, they came to the Dragon World. Lin Feng definitely did not believe that they came to the Dragon World purely for the sake of it. Then, why did they come here? Lin Feng suddenly recalled the war in the Undying Realm and the destruction of the Heavenly Court. Could it be that these people were here for him? Lin Feng felt that this was really the reason. These heavenly generals were all extremely terrifying figures. If they were to go up against them, they would naturally have to be more cautious. However, Lin Feng's current strength was also extremely tyrannical. Therefore, he wasn't particularly worried. In addition, Lin Feng and the others also heard some other news. For example, the news that someone had discovered an ancient weapon. However, that ancient weapon broke free from everyone's suppression and escaped. Now, many people were looking for that ancient weapon. After hearing this news, Lin Feng could not help but be somewhat moved. There was actually an ancient weapon-level treasure here, which was really unbelievable. If he could get his hands on an ancient weapon-grade treasure, it would be a great opportunity. Of course. Right now, what Lin Feng wanted the most was not the ancient weapon. What he wanted the most was to find something that could help him achieve a breakthrough in his cultivation. If he could find these things, Lin Feng would be able to break through to the Saint Realm. However, Lin Feng also knew that these opportunities were not something that could be found in a hurry. He had to take it step by step. 3 days later, Lin Feng and the others saw a huge mountain range. When they saw the mountain range, the eldest princess's face immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. The eldest princess said, "This should be the place." Lin Feng looked towards the mountain range. He could not help but frown slightly. The mountain range and the surrounding environment vaguely formed the shape of a scythe, just like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. This kind of terrain often represented death and slaughter. Therefore, this kind of terrain was often extremely dangerous. Lin Feng looked at the eldest princess and asked, "Do you know who the opportunities left behind in this place are related to?" The eldest princess shook her head and said, "I'm not too sure about that." Lin Feng then said, "This place is not simple. When we enter later, we must be careful." Hearing Lin Feng's words, the others hurriedly nodded. Then, Lin Feng looked at the eldest princess and asked, "Apart from the map, do you have any other keepsakes?" "Yes," the eldest princess said. Then, she took out the keepsakes she had obtained. The keepsakes were actually a bell. Moreover, it was a pitch-black bell. Lin Feng took the bell. He could sense it. The bell emitted a cold aura. That cold aura seemed to want to enter Lin Feng's body, but Lin Feng blocked it. After sensing the bell's aura, Lin Feng's face revealed a look of bewilderment. Although he did not know what the bell was, it was obvious that it was extremely extraordinary. Moreover, Lin Feng could sense that the bell contained the aura of the Netherworld. The Netherworld referred to the Netherworld. A bell that contained the aura of the Netherworld was very likely forged by a cultivator of the Netherworld, right? Is this a treasure? Why doesn't it look like one? Lin Feng frowned and said, "Indeed, it doesn't look like a treasure. I tried to refine it, but I couldn't," the eldest princess said. Lin Feng nodded and then used his divine sense to enter the bell, trying to see if he could refine it. However, Lin Feng also failed. The bell was very strange. There was no way to refine it. It did not seem to be a magic treasure. If it was not a magic treasure, then the fact that it could be preserved for such a long time meant that the materials used to forge it were definitely not simple. Otherwise, the bell would have been destroyed long ago. At this time, the Demon Lord sent a sound transmission to Lin Feng and said, "If I'm not wrong, this bell should be a soul-summoning bell. It's something from the Netherworld. For example, some of the emissaries of the Netherworld will have something like a soul-summoning bell in their hands. It is said that if you master the soul-summoning bell, you only need to chant some incantations and shake the soul-summoning bell. At that time, you will be able to summon the surrounding souls and absorb them into the soul-summoning bell." Hearing the Demon Lord's words, Lin Feng could not help but be surprised. Just now, he had suspected that this bell might be related to the Netherworld. Now, it seemed that this bell was really related to the Netherworld. However, he did not know which cultivator of the Netherworld had passed down this bell. If this bell was related to a cultivator of the Netherworld. In other words, this place in front of him. It should be related to the cultivators of the Netherworld. Could it be that a top expert of the Netherworld was buried in this mountain range? Chapter 5776. Some things could only be guessed, so it was naturally impossible to find out the truth. The specific situation would only be known after entering the mountain range and carefully exploring it. After that, Lin Feng and the others did not continue to stay outside. They entered the mountain range. After entering the mountain range, Lin Feng immediately felt that the mountain range was surrounded by a sinister and terrifying aura. Lin Feng said, "This place might be related to the underworld, so everyone must be careful." Hearing that this place might be related to the underworld, everyone revealed an extremely shocked expression. In fact, even cultivators rarely came into contact with the cultivators of the underworld. Therefore, they had a sense of fear towards the cultivators of the underworld. This was just like when those people talked about ghosts, monsters, hell, and other things, they would feel a sense of fear. Even cultivators would feel fear because of their lack of understanding of the underworld. But in fact, the underworld was the same as other worlds. The methods of the underworld cultivators could still be a little strange. However, as long as cultivators were strong enough, they were not afraid of the strange methods of the underworld cultivators. After all, Lin Feng had entered the underworld more than once. He had even stirred up a storm in the underworld. He still knew some things about the underworld. However, Lin Feng had not entered the underworld again in recent years. After all, Lin Feng was still wanted by the underworld. After the great changes in the world, the 32 layers of the underworld below were unsealed. Many experts came out one after another. The underworld's power became extremely strong. Entering the underworld now was extremely dangerous. Lin Feng naturally would not enter the underworld at this time and be unlucky. After crossing 3 mountain peaks, they arrived at the 4th mountain peak. When they arrived at this place, the bell actually rang on its own. Dang, dang, dang. The sound was crisp. It was quite pleasant to the ear. Everyone looked at the bell in the first princess's hand. Duzu said, "It seems that this bell has already reacted to our destination." The first princess nodded. Then, she pointed in a direction and said, "It's that cave." Everyone looked in the direction the first princess pointed. Then, everyone saw the cave. The cave was located halfway up the mountain. There was also a crooked tree beside it. The crooked tree blocked the entrance to the cave. If one didn't pay more attention, they wouldn't even notice the cave. After seeing the cave, Lin Feng said, "Let's go in and take a look." Everyone flew towards the cave. The 6 of them entered the cave. Then, he carefully walked into the depths of the cave. The aura inside the cave was extremely eerie and terrifying. Everyone's brows were tightly knitted, and their expressions were grave. Not long after, Lin Feng discovered some problems. This was because Lin Feng discovered that there were many murals carved on the walls of the cave. The murals all depicted soldiers. There was nothing wrong with the murals, but the eyes of the soldiers on the murals gave Lin Feng a very strange feeling. Lin Feng had heard of a story. This story was called The Finishing Touch. The story went like this. It was said that a person had drawn a dragon. The dragon was lifelike, but it had no eyes. Then, someone asked, "Why didn't you draw eyes for the dragon?" Then, the artist said, "If I draw eyes for the dragon, it will fly away." Of course, no one would believe such a thing, so everyone egged him on and asked him to quickly draw eyes for the dragon. The artist couldn't persuade everyone, so he had no choice but to draw a pair of eyes for the dragon. After the eyes were drawn, the dragon really came to life. Then, the dragon soared into the sky, flew into the distance, and disappeared. And the situation in front of him gave Lin Feng a feeling of finishing touch. It was as if there was nothing wrong with the soldiers on the murals. However, after drawing eyes for the soldiers, there was a problem. Those pairs of eyes, they were extremely cold and terrifying. They emitted an aura of death. After looking into those eyes, it was as if he had fallen into an endless world of hell. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who noticed the murals. Eldest Princess, Qing Yu, Blue Planet, Du Zhu, Evil Sovereign Saint, and the others also noticed the murals. The eyes of the soldiers made their hearts palpitate. Thus, they didn't dare to look into the eyes of the soldiers. Qing Yu said, "Why are the soldiers on these murals so strange?" Lin Feng said, "Don't pay attention to these soldiers, and don't look at them again. Don't mess up your mind." When everyone heard Lin Feng's words, they hurriedly nodded. Then, everyone continued to walk forward. But at this moment, an extremely terrifying aura came from behind. Then, everyone turned their heads to look, and their expressions changed drastically. In the passageway behind them, soldiers in black armor appeared one after another. Their armors completely covered their bodies. Only pairs of eyes were left. And those pairs of eyes were incomparably evil. It was like the eye of hell, like the eye of death. Weren't those soldiers the soldiers on the murals? Now, they had actually been resurrected. It was really like the story of the finishing touch. At this moment, terrifying fluctuations also surged out from the tunnel deep in the tunnel. Many soldiers also appeared in the tunnel deep in the tunnel. These soldiers were also wearing black armor and wielding swords. The total number of soldiers in the cave was probably no less than 1,000. Moreover, The auras of these soldiers were so powerful and terrifying. Their strength was definitely extremely tyrannical. "What do we do?" Eldest princess asked with an ugly expression. Lin Feng's expression was also very ugly. This place was really strange. Some of the places that were connected to the underworld always seemed to be extremely strange. Lin Feng said, "Don't panic. Let's wait and see." Everyone nodded. This was the only thing they could do now. At this moment, the soldiers walked towards Lin Feng and the others. These soldiers weren't very fast. However, they brought a heavy pressure. However, because the tunnel wasn't very wide, only a dozen soldiers could walk at the front at the same time. Therefore, the soldiers behind them couldn't attack Lin Feng and the others. This situation was more advantageous for Lin Feng and the others. These soldiers were extremely tyrannical. If so many soldiers attacked Lin Feng and the others at the same time, then, for them, the situation would be extremely bad. And the current situation was much better than that. But even so, they couldn't be careless. Otherwise, they might die under the attacks of these soldiers. End of chapter.